reached Avery Silman, owner of Silman Ranch. I'm not available right now. If you're calling about an order, get in contact with Sanford Williard. He'll take care of you. Otherwise, leave a message, and I'll get back to you when I can.
Avery. You stubborn. Why aren't you picking up the phone or answering my text? I swear if you don't... Okay, look. I know how hard that had to be to hear. And I know you. You're stewing right now, running every scenario in your head, already deciding how this is gonna end. But it's over. It's done. I never meant for this to spiral like this, Avery. I thought it'd be simple. You talk to him, get some answers, and come home. But I underestimated him. I didn't think he was that dangerous. I was wrong. But I'm okay now, I promise. Lincoln's people are watching over me. Watching over your niece. Darren will never set foot in a Projectus building again. He won't touch me again. So stop, please, Avery. Just stop. I know you. I know what you're thinking, what you're about to do. But I'm begging you, don't take this any further. Yes, he put his hands on me. Yes, he crossed that line. But I survived. We survived. And I will not lose my only brother over this. Call me. Call me now. We found Jasmine. She's alive. And that has to be enough. Please, Avery, let this go. Let the universe deal with that son of a bitch, Darren Fontano.
Yo, what is up, everybody? Hope everybody's doing well on a Monday. The Rippaverse Roundtable is back, and of course, tonight we'll be doing some fun spoiler talk stuff. So for Isom 3, which I know a lot of y'all have been waiting for us to talk about. I've been waiting to talk about, been looking forward to it. Let's just say that. So thank you all for your patience. I know we got all those orders out there, so we've been able to put ourselves in a position to talk about it without spoiling it for all of you lovely people that are out there. So again, appreciate y'all's support for Isom and all the love that you had shown over the course of those couple of months that collection was going live. Like I said, we'll be going through everything tonight. Let's kind of go round table. I'm joined by Andrew, the creative manager here at the Rippaverse. Andrew, what's up?
What's going on, boss? What is going on, Rippa fam? Love y'all. I'm happy to be here. I'm super stoked to be here, not only with these beautiful people, plus Eric and myself, but also just the fact we're finally talking Isom 3. I have been waiting to have this stream since I first got my eyes on this freaking script. And I remember messaging Eric and being like, bro, what the hell? Like, you did it. You brought it all together. You packed in so much stuff into this, and then it sets up stuff for down the road. I'm hyped. Y'all should be hyped. Everybody on the panel is going to be hyped. Let's have some fun tonight.
Let's do it. Well, look, man, I've been stoked to talk about this openly now for a while, and yeah, it has been quite the thing to see everybody's reviews, obviously, and how everybody's feedback. But to your point, or how everybody's feedback turned out. But to your point, internally, some of the feedback that we got from yourself, as well as some of the other editors, like Saska's, has been pretty fun. And I'm glad that people got some enjoyment out of this story. But also joined by our editors, writers of Yaira, Blood, Ruth, and other works here. Saskas, how you doing?
So excited to spoil Isom 3 tomorrow. I have, because there's some big stuff that happens in Isom 3, right? And then you're all like, did you read Isom 3? Not yet. Well, when you do, come back and let's talk about it, because they're huge reveals. And stoked, boss. I'm really stoked.
There's going to be such a weight off our shoulders now, because it's one less thing that we have to keep from spoiling. One of my favorite things about working at the Rippaverse is being able to go into the Isom 3 folder, and before any of y'all, because I wanted to know what happened, and now I do. And really stupid warning, chat. We're going to spoil everything.
Yeah.
Nothing is off limits. So if you're like, oh, hey, I don't know what happened with Jasmine, read the book, man. Like, or just, suck it up. It's going to be spoiled for you. I'm happy that you're here if you're ruining it for yourself, but you really should have read it. And also, yes, because we love Isom so much. That's the only reason we're in the same room.
We said we weren't going to do anything, Jen. We were just going to make it like a happy surprise.
Don't get used to it, okay?
Isom brings people together.
That's
exactly.
Say.
It's the great unifier. With all the divisive ideologies in the world, it's Isom that brings us together.
Let's do it. Well, I appreciate you ladies for joining us. I know you've been excited to talk about it, the story as well. I appreciate you taking time, and of course joined by co-creator of Isom, also so many of our other characters here at the Rippaverse, and some of the other characters that we'll be talking about tonight. Marcos, brother, how you doing, man?
I'm doing good, man. I cannot believe it's been 3 years, and now it's funny. 3 years, 3 Isom books. It's kind of like a parallel. It's been amazing.
Possible to get at least one book out a year.
Yeah, it is. Believe it or not, that's a thing.
Thanks for having me, though. I know it's rough. Sometimes I can't really make it to these, but appreciate everybody for also having me as well.
Oh, dude, nah, man. Much love to you. Like I said, you've been here from the get-go, man. You helped me design all these characters, and you really took lead on a lot of the character designs, as well as really just getting everything organized for all the our other artists, man. You've been just godsend there. So I'm glad to have you here so we can talk about everything. So I mean,
one of the only seers of the Eric sketch.
That's true. That is true.
Under lock and key.
That is very true. Very true. Okay. So, I mean, I guess what we can do is we can just get sort of right into it. I have my team working on some other things that we'll be showing off, and we'll show off some art, of course, from and go through the actual story. But before I do that, I want to give everybody an opportunity to kind of talk about what they got. Generally speaking, forward. We'll this will be a proper spoiler talk, so don't worry. We will go through like everything. We will go through everything. And like the story beat by beat, we'll show some of the art. But I figure we just kind of at least give everybody summary, what you got from the story, what you liked about it, all that good stuff. We'll go around table, and I'll start obviously with just again. This is a really personal story for me, just because of the fact that this is what popped the entire company off, right? Put me in this position to be able to, live my dream. All that happened through Isom, right? He popped everything off. So for myself, I knew that I had a lot to try to bring home and bring together in Isom number 3. And I was trying to use all the things that I learned along the way. Yes, I had a general vision of where I was going to take the story either way, but, I had a lot of opportunity to soak just game from all of these lovely people that are here, as well as the other writers that are a part of the Rippaverse, and just really working on my craft. So I wanted to tell the best story that I possibly could. Now, my goal is to obviously always improve, but I wanted to really bring this thing home, and that's where we landed on with Isom 3. And I'm glad that people could see kind of, because I know that, especially with how it started, and with Isom having the responsibility of showing you guys some of these other characters and launching our universe, it could be very difficult maybe to see kind of where it was going. But I'm glad that we could bring it all home. There's a reason why this book was as big as it is, in 144 pages. Or
those of you who wanted a kaiju in the Rippaverse, it's this book.
This is it. You can see how massive this book is. But I wanted to tell the story the correct way. I wanted to tell it right, and I wanted to give you guys a satisfying conclusion while also leaving you with enough like questions so that we at least have a direction that we could go with as Isome's story continues. So I really worked incredibly harder than I had worked on any other story on Isome number 3. Particularly, it didn't have the responsibility that some of the other previous books had, such as, the Saskas put it great, like especially initially, early on. Isome had the responsibility of putting these other characters over.
The whole universe.
You know what I mean?
Setting up everything from Florespark to the law of the Florespark police Alpha Corps, as well as what the laws are for everyone's superpowers, which definitely paid off in Isome 3.
Isome's over here with the Rippaverse on his shoulders, like freaking Apollo, right?
It's like the Undertaker putting people over Steve Austin, be like, "Oh, I lost tonight because we got to move this guy. Here's Yaira. Here's Brian Solari. Here's even Larry Shungai." Like,
you don't get enough credit. You don't get enough credit for how much those 2 books set up, and the amount of characters. Like, everyone's like, "I love Blood Ruth." I'm like, couldn't have existed without Isome 2, and she's back in Isome 3.
And Michael and Lillian, even in issue 1, like there's so many big, like all along the way. That's like,
and they act like you were just spontaneously writing stuff too, boss. Like, you're like, I don't know where the story is going. I'm like, it's 3 parts. Who leaves the movie but for the 3rd act and is like, I don't understand it.
That's the thing. It's always interesting whenever I had seen comments and discussions along those lines, and maybe it's because I think everybody here has been reading comic books for a little while. But I love the more long form version of storytelling when it comes to comic books. And maybe it's more difficult when it comes to something like, say, Isome 1, which is also meant to set up not only other major players in the universe, but also set up the universe as a whole. But I think the ill-advised arc is going to, in retrospect, for a lot of people, be one of those things where when you read it in its entirety, you're like, oh, like there was a whole long game plan here, and everything does get tied together, right? And it does actually make sense by the end, and you're like, wow, like this whole thing, like there was stuff that happens in 3 that was hinted at in 1, and you're like, there was a plan, there was a method to the madness. And it shows through, and it shines through so well. And I absolutely adored Isome 3.
Oh, well, I appreciate that. No, it was, like I said, the story needed to be brought home. And I did pick up a lot of tips and tricks, again, from all the lovely people here, but also, and just soaking in knowledge from all the other greats. But also on what the audience, was saying and what they wanted to see more of, less of, all that good stuff. And I tried to have Isome 3 just, again, embodying the direction that I wanted to take the story, while also being, again, the best version of itself that it could possibly be in terms of it's just polished with the writing and everything. So I felt like we landed in a good spot. The reviews, people that have read it, our lovely customers, seem to absolutely love it. And I'm just glad that you all enjoyed it. So, that's what I got. Like, I had a lot of fun with it. First and foremost, I had a lot of fun. There were a lot of answers that we finally got to go through with some of Isome, even in terms of how some of his powers work. And again, wanted to leave that open-ended enough to where there's some exploration there. And I'm not just dumping a bunch of information on you, but there are some tidbits that you could pick up from, again, even in how his powers work, but also in relation to his family and what that actually means. And like I said, we'll go through all of that stuff as well. And I wanted to create new characters, but again, slightly different role than what they had maybe in Isome 1 and 2. Creating Max Elliott, for example, was a fun character to create, in addition to obviously the character that everybody learned about in Leopardo was fun to create as well. Big shout out to Marcos for helping obviously with the design and taking charge on that design, because yeah, I didn't know how that was going to turn out. But you know, when he shows up, you see this freaking Komodo dragon-esque looking big dude with jean shorts on. I was like, I don't know how this was in my mind. And I was like, this could look one of two ways. It could look very stupid, or it could look like a badass villainous type of character. And yes, a big shout out to Marcos. He's able to pull that off, and he just the design just was absolutely badass. It was absolutely badass, and I loved how Cliff did it. So big shout out to Marcos for helping with that, as well as some of the other support characters. For you guys that don't know, there are 3 characters from the original Be Canonized that are in this. Max being one of them. You have the obviously the also you have the character in which when Isom goes to, young Isom, the younger Isom, when he goes on this pick, that house, the owner of that house or that ranch, if you will, he is also one of the Be Canonized, and the character the father of the character that ended up being killed by Shadron in Isom number 2. Well, he's also a Be Canonized character, so it was fun.
Those are all pretty major characters too.
Wow.
Yeah, and that's what I wanted to do, right? I wanted to
crucial moments in that.
I wanted to make sure that, look, these guys paid a lot of money. They were in on the first book. I didn't want to just like, we'll slide them in the background and have them do a little something. Like, no, like Be Canonized, that wasn't cheap when it came out. So I was like, we're gonna do this right. I wanted to make sure that I had them be vital characters to the plot point. And you know, a big shout out for, if you don't know Max, or rather Maxellian, who he's based off. If you've seen familiar with my chat, Porter Stanley, that's who he's based off of, right? He was one of the
Big Money.
Yes, Mr. Big Money. He's been a supporter of mine for a very long time, and I wanted to give him a really, 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 really cool character that that we could stick around with. We could tell some stories based on later as well. And yeah, I had a lot of fun in his creation. But yes, with Isom 3, it had a lot going for it because of that, right? We're including the Be Canonized guys. We are trying to bring this story together with Darren and Darren Fontaino, and obviously versus Isom, people anticipating this big showdown and what have you. And I just wanted to take the story in a direction that made sense but wasn't predictable. And I think we were able to find a nice, healthy balance. And again, I learned so much with this process, of creating this. I feel like I came on the other side of Isom 3 being a better writer. And I'm glad that, and I love hearing that some people believe that Isom was the best. Isom 3 was the best, or their favorite of the bunch in the other, I guess, out of the series. And look, that's, I guess, how it should have been, considering that it was a 3-parter. So thank you all again for the support. Again, I'm going Roundtable. I know I've been ranting and rambling, but we'll go through the story and everything. But I want to give everybody else an opportunity to talk about kind of what they got from the story. We'll go start with you, Andrew.
Oh man. Where do I start? There was so much happening in this story. And I'm gonna actually kind of like, I'm gonna start at the end. I'm gonna Tarantino it. So like, the way that you ended it was like a proper subversion of expectations, because I think a lot of people might have been expecting this actual knockdown, drag out, physical confrontation, direct physical confrontation between Avery and Darren, right? But the beauty in the storytelling there with what you were doing with his powers and why his powers weren't working properly for him, because it's got a lot to do with his motivations, with his heart, where his mind and his spirit is at, right? His soul. If he had tried doing that, his powers wouldn't have worked for him.
Right.
Based on what we learned in the story, right? Because that would have been selfishly motivated, and that would have been a completely different outcome. But instead, he managed to finish things in a far different manner than I think people were anticipating and expecting. And it wound up being in line with how you were telling us through the storytelling his powers actually work, even though those little tidbits that you were giving us. So that I thought was fantastic. When I got to the end, I was like, up until that point, once I'd started to understand what you were doing with his powers and what it means to be a peaker and how that works, like, wow, this is really unique, really cool. But like, how's that gonna square up with everybody's expectations when we get to the final, the finale of the book, right? And you pulled it off beautifully. But the thing I liked the most was the thing that I had been looking forward to people seeing and learning for a really long time, and that was the biblical ties
absolutely,
to the Peaker's powers. Like that was so cool. It was so well done. And I gotta say, Mama Silman might be like top 3 Rippaverse characters for me right now. Like, and I'll even say this, like, coolest comic book mom ever.
Yeah.
Harriet is incredible. I love her. I loved her in Great War. I love her in Isom. I want more. So Eric, I want to put you on the spot right now. I need a young Harriet.
Okay.
Story.
I'm game for that.
That would be
That would be amazing.
Yeah.
I am game for that.
I need it. She's amazing. She is absolutely incredible as a character. And she's got that strength, right? You can tell she has that reservation to her where she's like, her immediate response isn't violence. But then you see when she's getting wailed on by Darren's men, right? She's like, all right, like, may God have mercy on y'all, because I'm about to not. Right? And that was a cold line, too, by the way. I was like, oh, Mama Silman's cold.
Yeah.
That was so cool. So cool. But yeah, I need young Harriet like yesterday.
Okay.
So
I'm down.
That needs to be your next project after Saoirse and Salvage.
I'm game for that. I'm actually 1000% game for that. But yeah, that was, and it's funny, it was like so vital that we got this story out for the people that are just keeping up with it, particularly with Harriet, because of what happens in this story. You see, obviously, if you were at the Great War II, there's a moment there as well, right? And I wanted to make sure that I was able to tell this story first, at least for the audience, to give you guys that perspective. And we'll go through that scene and everything that you're referencing, because it was quite the setup there. Because if you're just reading this with no frame of reference, you have no idea what Harriet is capable of. You think she's in absolute dire straits, as well, and then she just immediately starts to take command of this situation, which was fun. For sure it was fun. But ladies, what about you? What did you guys get from the story? I know you've been waiting, itching to talk about this, and like I said, I want to give you an opportunity before we go through the actual story.
One clarification: we can't spoil Great War II yet.
No, we can't. Okay,
so I'm not going to, but guys, remember this for no reason at all. Just remember it and make sure if you didn't order it, you order it, because it is a limited series that slaps super hard. And for no reason, I'm just going to segue back into Harriet because I really love that character. I hated seeing her get hit by a chair. I was like, how do you make the audience more mad than Altona getting smacked around by Darren? Darren send thugs to the parents' house, and you're like, you see Jacob kicking some butt in the background, and you're like, good, he's gonna go save Harriet, but he can't. And then you see that great big page where she's getting hit with the chair, and you're like, oh no, you didn't just hit Harriet. And then when she starts talking and how badass she is, and then she tells them that the casualty of which they came in there, she knows they've done it before, and she just kicks their butts. It is so rewarding. And then when her and Isom have that conversation, and you're like, oh, so that's how their powers work. That's like the whole Spider-Man 2 of he was doing the right thing for the wrong reason. And it doesn't matter if you're doing something that in the end, the means are justified, but it's not that way. You have to do the right thing for the right reasons. And then a peeker? Ooh, and it's interesting because it's a story of not just man versus another man, but it's man versus himself, because Isom kind of has to get over himself. Like he had that whole showdown trauma, which, oh my God, I know I'm like describing so much, but I'm really excited. I love at the end that even the showdown cosplay girl thing gets a payoff. I'm like, who is hitting Isom? And I'm like, but he could move, he could block that, but he takes a hit because he's taking accountability. because he did disappear. You don't know his reasons or anything. You see how it affected the parents, and you're like, oh, and that's a real big heroic moment. Like even the way he dealt with Darren, it was such a maturity about him. And then all of a sudden you're like, oh man, what can defeat a peaker, and what the hell happened to Sam at the beginning, and what is blood? Like there's just so many beautiful little Easter eggs already there ready to hatch.
One of the things you do best, boss, and you do a lot really, really well. You do it the best. But you create these strong female characters that don't lose their femininity. For me, Harriet is the ultimate mother power fantasy. Like every mom, if their kid is challenged, becomes this mama bear. And oh my God, Harriet, she, as soon as they walk in, you knew she could have kicked their asses. It's like when Superman puts handcuffs on, he's like, I'm just doing it so you guys feel more comfortable, but I could snap and I could leave at any time. And to know that she let them hit her with the chair. She's like, what would you do if I was if you were just going after his mama, what were you going to do to me? And then very, very quickly, she gets up with like this wrestler energy, like the Undertaker, very slowly of you come into my house. Absolutely loved it. Hated that bitch Jasmine.
That was a fun
she
one.
reappeared. I was so happy that she was there. I was like, oh great, we're gonna tie it in. We got her.
We saved you, Jasmine. And you're like, oh, she's a grown-ass woman making a bad decision. All of this trouble that came from it.
It was set up that she was a victim, but that's a lesson in narcissism, kids. When someone appears to be a victim, look at everyone that Darren surrounds himself with. They're all pieces of shit.
I like Santuan.
Well, Santon didn't get paid, so he had a little bit of a change of heart. I'm also financially motivated, so I'm like, we hate them now. Okay, whatever.
I love that. Maybe Gooding Santuan team up at some point, because if the almighty dollar pays them both, maybe. First two, right?
God, give me a Santuan one shot, highest bidder.
Oh yeah,
that's great.
Because some people deserve to be punched, and if you can pay someone a certain amount of money, Santuan's got to be thinking, I'm gonna punch him. Some other dude that needs like $5,000 is gonna punch him. It should be my $5,000. At the end of the day, ever since Darren hit Altona. I've been pretty mad at him. Darren, if you're in chat, you sometimes are. I hate you.
He is.
I absolutely hate you, my man. I mean, I love to hate Lillian and Michael, but I hate to hate you. You just
he's a great villain. He's a great villain, and you kind of get him, He doesn't want to lose his power to the situations around him. He's built an empire from nothing.
He wants it really bad, and I like how Isom had no reason to want to get involved in this at all. Like, he's not going out there superheroing anymore, but he is always motivated to do the right thing. Even though his ego, he had to challenge himself throughout the series. I love that, because Isom book 1 and Isom book 3, very different people. And I think in Isom 3, my favorite part that I've always been vaguely saying, but now you guys have read it, so you know why. I love that you get to know Avery through the relationships he has with other people. You very quickly see how he is. The way he deals with cosplay girl's dad at the end and lets him pull a gun on him. Because we don't know, if he gets shot, is he dead? I don't know. He seems like he's doing the right thing, but it takes a lot of balls, because it's not about ego anymore. It's about doing the right thing, and you can see the journey of why he quit, why he didn't want to do it, and why he's now Isom again. I thought that was absolutely brilliant.
Yeah, and I liked for a person who doesn't love team ups, I love the team up at the end with Gooding, Blood Ruth, and Isom, because I was like, oh,
they're all standing in a room. Is it a team? What do they say? But they're standing in a room, and that makes me happy.
But they were kind of teaming up during all of the ill-advised arc. So he was like, check out Blood Ruth. Blood Ruth was like, I'll help you with Sam and whatever's going on there. And then at the end, it's like, oh, what was going on with the Devilings? Well, just the start is something big. I bet the three of us could figure it out.
And if it was a team, I'm just putting it out there, but if it is a team, we got Supernatural, and we've got Gooding, who's very much in the real world, and then we've got Avery that brings it together, right? Because he's a little bit, he's a real man, and also he's on this godly mission, this mission from God. So I'm very excited to see where it goes, if it goes anywhere at all.
Yeah.
We'll continue gushing, but we'll shut up so Marcos can speak.
Yeah. Oh man, appreciate your kind words, ladies. And Marcos, you had a unique perspective here. because
Yes, I do.
you again helped create, as far as these designs, all of the characters that are part of this story, right? So I mean, I know we hit the ground running, developing all these various characters. Obviously, you get some, because it's really bring this arc home. You got some guys that reappeared, obviously, but we had some newbies. We did have we fully fleshed out Jasmine. You got Leopardo, Max, and some of the other the characters that we created along the way, whether it be the pawn shop owner and everybody. I had a lot of fun creating these characters with you, but that's your unique perspective. If you want to talk about that creative process a little bit, and also again what you got from the story.
Yeah, just to confirm, that's the way you say his name, right? Leopardo.
Yeah, correct.
I always thought it was Lepredo for some reason. Not well, for the fans. I do have you mentioned it, I do have a unique perspective because seeing everything that was supposed to, like, all the characters involved, I went into the story of Isom 3 because, contrary to all belief, it's not like I know everything that happens in every story.
Right.
Like, sometimes, specifically with your stories, Eric, you just tell me the characters details. You kind of want to, like, keep the spoilers away from even me, which I respect because it gives me, a fun time reading it, because I'm like, all right, let's see what he's gonna do. But it's funny because we had so many designs that were from Isom number 2 that I was actually expecting to see in Isom number 3. And you ended up actually subverting my expectation heavily because I was like, wait, what happened to this character?
Yeah.
And then reading through the story makes sense because I'm like, okay, he took this route. Okay, like specifically with the Devlins, because there's more stuff, especially in the ending of Isom number 2. You remember the big one?
Yeah.
I was actually expecting.
Yeah.
I was expecting more with him. I was like, well, okay.
Yeah.
But
I'm loving this. Keep going, Marcos. Keep going.
You could say something. I was just gonna.
Okay.
Soon.
I was just gonna. So it's funny because y'all talking about how Avery had this development through all 3 of the books. You actually had me hooked, thinking that Avery would not end up doing what he actually did in forgiving, because I was through the ill-advised art, I was just thinking what everybody was thinking. Let's have him face, Darren, and have this big finale. And with what actually happens in the story, you kind of had me, like, on my seat, because I was like, wait, this is totally like a shift, because I'm over here expecting this big fight with these awesome characters, but all of a sudden you introduce other characters and they start kicking ass as well. I'm like, whoa, whoa, whoa. And all of a sudden Avery has this change of heart. Not all of a sudden, but you know what I mean?
Yeah.
It really made me, like, think, because when he popped out the holy message, when he started about forgiving, he actually hit me, because I was totally not expecting that. And it actually got me thinking a lot. And it really has a lot to say of how you've grown with the storytelling, because you actually ended up, with a very solid end message at the end of the story. And fun fact about Jasmine, I was actually expecting. You actually surprised me when you came up to me with the design, because I think it was midway through, like, last year. It's a long time that we designed the characters for Isom number 3.
It was a minute ago. Yeah.
Yeah. I remember when you brought the idea design for Jasmine, I was like, okay, we'll just do her, like, with the basic clothing. And you told me about, oh, well, you got to draw her with this, like, orb. She's got powers. I'm like, oh, whoa, okay. It threw me off.
That was a surprise.
Yeah, I was like, wait, she's going to be a hero or something? And it was the opposite. I was like, oh, okay. Who would have known? You even surprised me with that.
Yeah.
And I was thinking, you know what? Eric is doing his thing. And I was actually expecting the ending of Isom number 3 to be the reveal of her, but it was actually a little bit before. So I was out. It's a pretty big surprise, honestly, when you think about the fact that Avery's been doing this through the
whole thing.
the whole arc, for her, and then it turns out that she was actually on the wrong side,
Mm-hmm.
which is kind of like it kind of mirrors a little bit what his growth, because he was doing the right thing for the wrong reason, and then he finds out that she was actually just doing the wrong things, but also trying to masquerade herself for like some good reason, like she has to work for somebody, you know. So it kind of had that little bit of a deep thing going on, and that's really something that's really cool, you know.
Yeah.
I hope the
Well,
fans get see it the same way.
yeah, like again, I knew there was some bits. I just didn't want to be so predictable. I knew there was there was like a
Yeah.
direction that I know people wanted this to go, or were not necessarily wanted. It was more of it was an expectation that it was going to go, because that would have been the obvious pick. And I was thinking about that, obviously as I'm writing this, I'm like, okay, there needs to be some semblance of like misdirection here. Again, we want to do things that make sense. I don't want to misdirect just for the sake of doing it. It needs to make sense within the line of the story and the direction the story is going to be told. But we were in this position to be able to, through just, again, to try to be as creative as I possibly could to bring the story home. Again, going in the direction that I was going, but also, again, there's a little bit misdirection, like, because I already had those plans with Jasmine initially. But when I was writing through Isom 1, and especially going into 2, I was like, well, she's core to this story because of what Isom, the reasoning why he goes out and he's doing all these various things, right? But I wanted to present her as, oh, she's shocked, she's a victim, all of this. And I just knew, like, well, that was gonna, because I trust me, I keep up with what everybody was saying on this, and nobody guessed it. Nobody predicted that she was gonna end up being, like I said, on the wrong side of
good.
this. And it was, again, that's the point. So when she does arrive and you see that, what her motives are, and definitely the motives that Darren has for her is in relation to his empire, it completely changes things, because you're like, oh, snaps. Like, she was doing this all along, and he went through this whole rigmarole for that and for that reason. And yeah, it was also important, for Isom, because I wanted to use that. I mean, the sister, you brought it up perfectly, where his experiences and his relationships with these other people, you're seeing his maturation and his growth and all of that through that, whether it be with a guy like, especially through that ending with Santuan, right? That he's beefed with Santuan in the past. You just saw that in the first book, and everything there. He has this opportunity to be like, oh, well, he's got his own motives. I could walk away from this rather unscathed, but he's like, no, like, this is not what this is about. And this is why I wanted to make sure that he had that dialogue, the internal dialogue, talking about, the concept of forgiveness, because it's not an easy thing, obviously, to do. And I think any man and woman of God can, you feel me on that. It's a very difficult thing to do, especially when you've been done wrong by somebody.
Forgiving people that you already love and you're close to is easy enough. But
right.
People that are just genuinely your enemy or have persistently treated you terribly, that's where it actually kind of counts, right?
Right.
But
because we're called to love our enemies.
For you, it's like drinking poison every day. They become the main character in your mind, and it's not like forgetting what they did necessarily, but forgiveness is for you as well, so you don't stay in that really dark, angry place. And I loved the anti-team up with Santuan and Isom. They're not really teamed up. This is a money thing, and Isom also seems to be doing this mission kind of thing. But it was so nice to see them, because in issue 1, he's throwing him literally out of the murk until he smacks into Yaira and causes all sorts of foolishness. And now they're together.
The forgiveness is also amazing, boss, because I try not to do it because it makes me angry, but I don't pick up comics from the big 2 anymore, particularly if it's one of my favorite characters. And there's so little actual heroics. Like, you read it and even the heroes act like bad guys, right? But they have all like these excuses for why they are the way that they are. And you used to read things and be like, I probably wouldn't have forgiven Santuan in that situation, but I would like to be more like Avery. I feel that way when I read Sydney's or write Sydney's books as well. I'm like, I want to be more like Sydney. I don't want to be more like Yaira. I love her very
She's
much.
on a learning curve. She's not throwing people on cars anymore, but she's just, almost not really close to there
like
yet.
50% of what Yaira is, I would like to be as, and the other 50% is just a power fantasy, and I enjoy watching it, but I'd rather not be like that. But the forgiveness, that's insane, because that's what a hero really is. It's somebody that makes you want to be a little bit better,
Most definitely.
The dude,
Most definitely.
the dude hit his mom. Like, he sent a hit on his parents. You
Yeah.
think that is probably the top of how, like, that's the top thing to be really strong to forgive. Because imagine if somebody did that to your parents. That's what I was
Right.
thinking the entire time I was reading it. That everything he's been through, and then all of a sudden he targets the parents. I'm like, nah.
Yeah, you
But I
really
understood it.
you really get to see how evil Darren is. Like when he's doing the deal
Yeah.
with the oil place, and then he just kills the dude.
Yeah,
And
he
like,
kills him.
out there, like it's
And then he
not-
sits down.
Mhm.
Yeah, everyone is
Takes
expendable.
his hat, sits down, kicks back. Yeah.
Oh man, it
He
felt
went
like
through all
Lights
this
a cigar. Yeah.
bullshit, and he's like, whatever, I can let you die, bitch.
it was so chaotic, evil, and then you find out that he's masterminded this whole thing with Jasmine and using her powers so they can do things with the rock that they have there, and you're like, what? What is he even doing? Like he's awful, but at the same time, you kind of love Darren because I love how he's trying to he's showing Michael Copper around at his place, and Michael's like, you should whatever, you should own this place, and it's like, yeah, he does. He owns everything.
Yeah, he already does.
This guy is he's been doing this for a while. Like Fleur Spark is his city.
I do like to see Lillian and Michael win, but I do like to watch them lose to guys like Darren as well, because I'm like, you guys are pieces of shit too.
You guys are
You're also awful.
Very true. Very true. No, it's that part for sure was fun because I wanted to bring that up. I know it's a very brief thing, but you get to learn a lot more about Darren, at least what's on the line, for him, and also he's getting to interact with other people who are obviously bad, as well, right? And I wanted the point of that scene was to really get the audience to understand just the general kind of just the magnitude of what Darren Fontano means to this city, this area, and how far reaching it actually is, right? This isn't just some low down, like, okay, he's a criminal and yeah, it's like my boss, but no, like this guy has pull, right? He has a lot of pull. Even so much so that there are other villains, let's say within our universe that can see that, and you have them right here, but Darren's like up here in terms of his how far reaching he actually is, and there's a reason for that, and that was what I wanted to show off there. It's like Darren is the guy, right? Like, make no mistake, sure there's other villains here, inevitably you're going to run into them, you've seen them in some of our other stories, but like Darren is like head honcho. And also that puts into perspective why he is the way that he is, and why he's trying to rid himself of these other threats, because he looks at that as like, well, if people get word that there is some guy causing me trouble, well, that means something that kind of can shift the power dynamics. Maybe people sniff out weakness, maybe they get bold, or what have you. And that's kind of goes into that conversation that he was first having with Isom, and even Isom number one, in terms of what he had built. And obviously you get more of what he's willing to do to not only continue to expand his empire, but to also just maintain control, right, of it and his power, right? It's a very, very important to Darren, and that's one of his big motivating kind of factors there. And that's why what that scene was supposed to mean. It's like, oh, they're in this expensive country club. You think they're just meeting up to have this conversation, right? And then you find out, like, oh, snaps, he owns that place. He owns that place too, right? It's not just Merc.
I have a love-hate relationship with Michael Copper. I love the character, but he's an absolute piece of shit. But at the same time, I loved that Darren kind of like indirectly put him down. Like, Michael walks in there, he thinks he's putting it on the table, right? And Darren's like, all right, slick shoes, like I own this place. The thing you're trying to convince me that I should own instead of my club. Well, I own that place too, right? Like it's like I loved that it was this like almost one-upsmanship that was happening there, and Darren was just kind of casually doing it all the while you have Copper trying to utilize his silver tongue to convince Darren to sell him this place that he wants, right? Because the Club Merc is a very centralized location. There's a lot of you go back and reread Isom 1, you'll see exactly why Lillian and Michael are interested in the place. But Darren knows that would be why, and he's not holding on to it for sentimental reasons. He knows its value. He knows what it affords him, what it gains him by having eyes and ears in a place like that. And so he's not going to let go of it. And I love that he just kind of like was like, all right, well, maybe next time. All right, like, we'll figure something else out. We'll keep in touch. I'll call you.
Potentially. Exactly. Exactly. But yeah, that's again, that's integral to who that character is and what he's going to mean to this universe going forward. And I wanted to convey that obviously throughout the story, but it's another thing when you have bad guy versus good guy, but it's a little different when you see these other guys who you've seen in Alpha Core, you've even seen in Blood Ruth, and you obviously seen in Isom. They have 2 books that are on the way as well, and we know of them being villains, but you're like, okay, well, how's the ranking system go here? And that was just kind of a constant reminder that these guys are playing they're playing different games, right? And that was the importance of that. That does not mean that Michael or Lillian aren't like capable. It's that Flores Park is Darren, or he feels that it's his.
Oh, he owns it. Yeah. Michael and Lillian, as you can tell in the Isom series, they're new to town.
Yeah, they're outside.
And you're gonna find out why, because there's 2 banging books coming. One slightly better, but both are good.
Oh, that's nice of you to say about my book. Thank you, Jen. Nice of her.
Can she just go into another room again, please?
Isom brought us together, Jen.
Okay, on Isom Day, we'll remain in the same place. But I also think Darren, he makes a lot of enemies the way he works, and he kind of subscribes to that Machiavellian philosophy. If you're going to react to your enemies, hurt them so badly they'll be afraid for the rest of their lives of coming after you.
Oh, that's true. Well, the thing is, Darren doesn't have any powers. He's kind of like a puppet master because he gets people with abilities like Santuan, like Jasmine, and Lepredo. Was that right?
Yeah. Close enough.
And he has it working for him. So he's moving all these pawns. So he doesn't really put himself in any kind of dangerous situation ever. And it's interesting to see how much he's built of his empire just doing that. I can't spoil anything, but you might even see more stuff of how Darren is such a puppet master coming up. I don't know. I don't read all the books, but
perhaps maybe you will.
Perhaps you will. And you'll be like, this guy is a psychopath. And I think it's like almost like that prison kind of toughness that you get about yourself. Like there's exceps all over the city. Avery literally has powers, and Darren's still in his face, still hitting his sister. Like he is a fearless psychopath. And I think that's kind of the edge he has over other people.
Well, money, power, and influence, that's a superpower too. I mean, if any of you have accidentally looked at the news lately, money, power, and influence, you can basically do whatever you want because that is the truest superpower on this planet.
Not wrong,
that's
unfortunately.
Scary. Right? The Exceps can't do shit against Darren because he's so connected.
Yeah. Whew.
Yep.
We're here for escapism, please.
Sorry, guys. The world
is Darren's an actual villain, which is kind of lacking lately through all the media, like with superheroes and stuff. We don't really get like this evil guy that's the villain for the sake of being like power hungry evil. Usually it's now more of a relatable character that has
gray area
side,
and all that.
Great side. And it's like it takes out the fun when it comes to the good versus evil. But Darren he fits that he's just a vile piece of crap. Like that's just how he is. And Avery literally like is the opposite if you put it in a way, because even though he started off with the wrong reasons, he still ended up doing the right thing, which is what makes a hero also a hero. So
exactly. So let's do this. We'll go through the actual story, and we'll give everybody opportunity to kind of talk about it all. Let me pull this up. I will get rid of that there, and then pull this up here. All right, where I'm at. I believe this is it. It is. Okay. Hold on just a second. All right, so I don't know what's going on with this, but it is not working. All right, I'll pull that up. I'll pull that up here in a little bit. But yeah, long story short, it's the artwork. Let's talk about that a little bit.
Oh, Cliff
Richards.
Cliff's best work.
Best work, I think, hands down. There's some super chats in there. We'll get to those here in a little bit, but in my honest opinion, that's for sure.
Oh yeah.
I think it's his best work. That's just me.
That fight at the end is insane. It's such a visual feast.
Yeah, with all the fire everywhere. And there's so many different moving pieces to that fight too. It's badass.
Yeah, it was like seeing the artwork come back, especially during those fight scenes with Leopardo and Santo. Right, you got fire going all over the place. Big shout out to Sebastian Chang.
Oh yeah, Sebastian killed it.
Did some absolute banger colors there.
Oh yeah,
on this project, and I have to give a big shout out to him for that. But yeah, seeing his colors and the way that they turned out, especially for that scene, in addition to his artwork, Cliff's artwork, I could not have been happier with how this stuff turned out. Marco, I just want you to, because again, you design these characters. When you finally got a chance to see their rendition or Cliff's rendition, in addition to Sebastian's colors of these especially these new characters in Isom 3, how are you feeling with that?
They brought them to life, man. Like the action scenes when they're fighting, the part that Isom jumps over Leopard's body and then slams down.
Yeah.
Seeing that stuff made me so happy. Like I was reading through and I was smiling the entire like the book, because I was like, yo, it's kind of funny. Never pictured these characters doing this stuff. And then seeing Leopardo in action was actually even better, because you actually managed to make him look like Cliff in the art actually managed to make him look menacing.
Right.
Every time Leopardo was in the scene, he did a good job with that. Because I was thinking, it's funny you mentioned earlier about Leopardo's design with the shorts and the shirt. Like you didn't know if the fans would end up loving it or not.
Right.
Initially, I thought it was kind of funny to have him wearing this like torn shirt.
That's what I was saying.
But Cliff made him look like actually awesome wearing that in the fight. I was like, wow, that's actually cool. And just seeing it all through, it's like seeing dreams come to life, to see the characters.
It's funny you
technically
mentioned
emotion.
It's funny you mentioned that, because like that's basically where I was at with it. I was like I said, I was like, dude, this can end up one or two different ways, man. I don't know how this is going to turn out. And we will see what happens. But he made him look menacingly, and he made him look like, okay, this guy is not playing around. And especially when you first see him, right? He hops on the scene, he's out of the board, and he's fucking
big
up helicopters and Hummers and shit.
He's owning every guard. Like, except jail, and they're like, nah, he's got him.
I'm just gonna casually launch a Humvee up into a freaking chopper, right? Like, ain't no thing. Like, guys, I know we don't often think about it because it's comics, and sometimes comics just do comic things because it's comics and it looks cool, and that's all that really matters, as long as we're having a good time, right? It's meant to be entertainment. But if you stop and think about it for a second, he flung a military Humvee like it was nothing.
Yeah.
Bro is on another one.
Yep.
He's juicing, man.
Well,
Avery could have landed on it.
shoes.
Just saying.
used to stay there, right? Like you hear with the conversation he has with Max Stallion, and that's really good like exposition without being like too heavy-handed with the audience. You just hear them talking to each other, and then Laprito's actually pissed off that Max is on the other side now. And you're like, were they cellmates? Were they in prison together? Were they part of it? Like what exactly is the history there?
Yeah, again, vital, very vital, because that's something I want to pick up on later. And I will eventually, but that conversation is very important with those two when they first meet each other. Obviously, they know each other. You get this kind of you get this idea that you know, how you get two different accepts, and how they look at that award are totally different, right? And especially the experiences that are associated with it, where Lepido looks at Max like, you're a fucking sellout, right? And on the other hand, it's the opposite, right? And you know, Max is obviously trying to do he's in it for or he believes that he's in it for the right reasons. He's doing it for the right reasons. He's the ex-ep on duty at that time to really, again, make sure he can keep in line crazies like this, because you got to have a guy like that, right? Because you're dealing with it's a jail full of ex-eps, all right? So it's you know that there's going to be some crazy things that end up happening. But yeah, I wanted that scene, like that's his introduction. That's that character, Lepido's Max as well, but specifically Lepido, that's his introduction. I wanted him to hit the ground like running. I wanted people to look at him and be like, oh shit.
He literally did too.
Yeah. Yeah. Like this guy is not playing around. He is for real, and he's here to mess some stuff up. So it was a fun design that I was like, when I had it in my head, I saw Marcos's rendition. I was like, all right, this is great. My worries are, because I would have just said, all right, we're going to redesign him if I thought this looked stupid, but it didn't. It turned out awesome. And then to see Cliff and his art on it, and when you really see him in action, it was like a different level. I was like, man, I feel good about that. I think this is a character that we can have some fun with for sure in the future. And I wanted him to be this big menacing, capable, like a guy that was helping out, or thing that was helping out Darren. And bringing back Santo, I knew that there was gonna have to be some sort of clash there, and I was really trying to be precise with just giving Cliff as much information as I could about that fight scene between those
showdown.
Yeah, where it's like, okay, you got these two mammoths, right, that are going at each other, and you know that means stuff is gonna get real. So I wanted people to feel that, and I feel like he captured that. He captured that so well. So well.
I like that, by the way, Eric. I like that when that happens in stories where you have this. They had this rivalry first in Isom number 1 with Avery and Santo, and then events happen and they end up teaming up in a way, kind of like making a little bit of peace. I like that when that happens. Because it leads up some epic stuff. And I was actually very excited to see him return to Santo. I wasn't expecting it either.
Yeah, I knew that. Look, I got a lot of feedback from the audience, right? The audience was like, we really like this character. And I had always intentions of bringing him into Isom 3. Just how was what I wanted to make sure, because people liked him so much. And there was a reoccurring thing that I would always see where, and that's the truth, right? In that Santo, it's not as cut and dry as like he's just a straight up bad guy. Like he's about the dollar, right? For him, right?
Mercenary,
right? Yep. He's an ex-up for hire, and that opens the doors for a lot of different opportunities where he's not just doing bad things for the sake of doing bad things. This is more like, look, whoever got the money and they need my services, I'll serve them. So
it's like an anti-hero.
Right, exactly. So, but I would see a lot of people say that. A lot of people kept bringing that up. It's like, we don't feel that he's like actually just like bad, because that's not his motivation, right? When you see what he's saying in other various books, he's pretty open about like, look, where's the money? Like, this is what he's about. He's not. It's not just about he's Darren's lackey and he's just Darren's lackey for the sake of it. Like, no, like, you know, Darren's paying money, so he's trying to do some shit.
Well, he even told us in Isom 1 when he's talking with Avery, where he said, you know, if you took your head out of your butt, you'd realize there's a lot of money to be made in what you are.
Yep.
Right.
Yep. And that was a key conversation, because you got these two guys that obviously very, very strong. And again, motivation is different. And you can see where, okay, this is guy that has a lot of power. And you can see how, okay, well, that could go one route and, you know, it'd be good. But in other cases, like you get like maybe a Santo, it's like, okay, well, he's like, I want to use my power to make a living out of. And I don't really give a shit where the money's coming from. Like, pay up and I'm there. And that's what he's about. Yeah.
Like, does it spend the same? Does it pay the same bills? Yeah, fine.
Exactly. Does it pay? All right, it does. Cool. Then you can count on me. So, and I wanted to make sure that was very known. But I know, ladies, I'll give you the opportunity to kind of talk about Santo's reintroduction, because I can't remember when in the like at what point you guys got the story. I know you loved Santo's reintroduction. I can't remember when exactly you guys got the first read Isom number 3, but I would love for you to talk about, you know, Santo's reintroduction, if you will, and how you feel about it.
Well, we first read it when we saw the Isom 3 folder and the script got placed in there, and I was like, well, stop me from going in and reading.
We were actually reading it while you were still writing it, so we would keep going back to the file, and we'd be like, okay, well, now what? And you'd be like the cliffhanger, and then you'd get a few more pages. You're like, okay, and then because it was a long book. Like when I was,
it was.
How's he gonna round this up? And it was like, he's not rounding it up. He's gonna finish every storyline and leave you with like more questions of what's gonna go on next. And even the great character moment where you saw Avery at his first job and he went for his own pick, and then his boss was asking him what he wanted to do with his life, and he started talking about it, and you're like, wow, you learn a lot about his character and what kind of a man he is. And then you also find that he doesn't necessarily fit into the system because high school wasn't really working for him, so he wanted a job instead. So you're like, so Avery likes to work really hard, and he's got a bit of an attitude where he doesn't like people telling him what to do. He likes to be his own boss, which I was like, that's pretty cool. That kind of fits into the whole Isom thing where he's doing the right thing for the wrong reasons, and he's got to catch himself on that.
Well, they're dark mirrors of each other, right? Like Darren and Avery, because Avery is also very hardworking, but he takes care of his family. He takes care of people in Floor Spark. But I guess Darren takes care of them in his own special way.
Yeah, and I think it was really smart how Lincoln was actually the introduction to bring Santo back into the story, because, again, Avery is not listening to Lincoln. He's like, you know what? I know where I have to go now. I'm going to go deal with it. And Lincoln's
this
like,
fool's going to get himself killed.
Yourself, Altona's brother. He doesn't know he's Isom. He's like, this poor guy's going to get murdered. He's like way over his head. So obviously he's like, I'm going to hire this super powerful except that's going to keep him safe, and that's going to get the situation taken care of. And I think they're both kind of surprised to see each other there when they show up, because it's like, oh, hey, well, we're now on the same side, so I guess we're both going to be fighting Darren right now. And then Lopredo comes into it, and it becomes this like massive crazy fight.
I was happy to see Santo back in there, because if you have enemies in life is long, guys.
Yeah.
Life is long. I once had a running joke that I had with other horror film directors, like, who is in your human centipede?
Yeah.
And one director had a great answer. She said, the people in my human centipede change. Sometimes someone's the middle piece, sometimes they're in the back, and sometimes someone has pissed me off so much that middle piece isn't even my middle piece anymore. It's somebody else. And the fact that Santo can come back, and he doesn't give it, like, mark my words, he doesn't give a shit if he's helping Avery.
No.
That is not, he's not like, oh man, I did Avery wrong. Jesus, let me please have this opportunity to make it right.
No.
It's not.
Lincoln just paid him good money.
They're probably going to be opposite sides the next time they see each other, and it doesn't matter that they had that great moment, you know, teaming up.
Yeah, that was, and look, I wanted to show how capable Lincoln was as well. I love how you ladies have been handling as well. You've seen Lincoln and Gyra and you and what have you. But I'm like, okay, Lincoln, well, rich guy, obviously, capable guy, owner of this freaking big biotech company, and he has this awesome co-worker in Altona, and she's going through all this, and he's like, okay, how can I assist? Like, how can I figure this out, right? And it all makes sense where I really love the writing, how he essentially bugged Club Merc, right, to get all this information from them, because you could think of a guy like, okay, well, this is a guy that was smart enough to kind of allow Darren to do these things so he could. Unfortunately, you have that bit of what happened to Altona, but ultimately he's like gathering all this information about this guy, because you can imagine where you have a guy that's that powerful while also having this other guy that is, again, owner powerful in his own right, not just like criminal overlord by any means, but powerful nonetheless. When you have this big biotech company, inevitably there was going to be some clash between them, and he kind of understands that, and he knows that. So it was fun to write that bit in. But you're dealing with a guy like like a Avery, and you see Avery has that's one of his weaknesses, right? He goes rogue, right? He's like, I'm going to do what I want to do, and even at least for that latter reason, right? Going into that last big battle, he's more so thinking of, I'm not trying to involve all of these other people because I don't want to get them hurt, right? Like more people are attached to him, the worse that it gets. We know what happened to Altona. We know how rotten Darren is, and him going after his family and his moms and his dad. So he's more like, okay, I got the information I need. I'm gonna go handle what I have to handle, and that's when
I did it my way.
Yeah, exactly. It's like I'm gonna go do what I have to do, and so having Santuan kind of be that wild card, because when you're reading up to this point, you have no idea. There's no hint of Santuan having working with Lincoln, or there's none of that. It's just he's like, go figure it out. And then I loved how that reintroduction, that full reintroduction of Santuan, how Cliff adopted that, where you have a guy kind of coming through as like, oh shit, you know what I mean? And I mentioned this in I think it was my last stream. Like I wanted some of Santuan's dialogue to be kind of almost representative of what the audience would think when they see this big fucking Komodo dragon looking character. And that's what Santuan's like, stupid, lizard or whatever the hell, in his jean jacket,
right? Yeah.
what have you. Like that's the whole point of that scene, because it's like, well, that's what I would think, or that's what I know the audience is thinking with his design. Like, who the hell is this guy? But yeah, all the power dynamics, just kind of happening at this big ass oil field, and it was a spectacle to watch. Because I wrote the damn thing, but to see, especially that 2-page, because I don't really do those splashes where fucking Isom gets launched into the fucking oil rig deal, and the tanker, and fucking Darren's like, take the shot, and he's like, you're gonna blow this shit up. He's like, I don't care, take the shot, and he takes it, and he's just, yeah, exactly. He's like, he doesn't care. Like at that point, he's like, I don't care. Do what you need to do, because he's so worried about getting rid of Avery. He's not quite successful, but I wanted that to, like, that also gave room for the other battles, right? But between like, especially with Lebanon and Santuan, because it's like you're wondering what the hell happened to Avery out of all of that. He just blew up. Like
he just got smoked.
Yeah, like so right? What's going on with this guy? But no, that was I had a lot of fun writing that, but seeing it is another thing, and I'm so blessed to be able to work with all these wonderful, talented artists that I have over these last few years, especially a guy like Cliff, who's been there since day one. And to see, I know Kanan will feel me on this, Kanan getting brought in, taking, just like he did with Deborah, making sure that he can improve as well. Cliff, and again, I believe it's some of his best work. I know he agrees with that. Some of his best work yet, and you really see it in those final fight scenes, right? I gotta ask sisters, Blood Root's your gal.
Your girl, but we babysit really.
Yeah.
Well, yeah, but your gal nonetheless.
You're like the cool aunts. You're like the cool.
Yeah, right. I like that. I like that. Cool aunts. What's wrong with that? She has a pretty important role in obviously the Shadow Wolf is who saves Isom at the beginning when we first get a glimpse of him not being like he something's wrong with him, right? Is what you get from that point. How did you feel about Blood Ruth in this particular story, which I think people were expecting her, but I would love to know what your thoughts are.
I love that she has a friendship with Isom, Avery. I love that you can tell that if you all read Blood Ruth, and guys, please, if you haven't read Blood Ruth, guys, what the hell? Come on.
Go get it. What are you doing? What exactly are you doing?
Sydney
Make better choices.
Spark herself,
Exactly.
Sydney just set up in town and she needs friends. She's looking for new friends. I mean, some of the friends like Edward that she has back in the castle, Crowley isn't maybe the best influence on her. It's amazing that she has Isom, and you can tell, especially from the last panel, that they're going to work stuff out. And even when Gooding is looking at Sam's markings, he can't figure them out. And you know that it's supernatural in some way. So it's going to be exciting to see how that is developed. And as you know, the best friend you can have is a Sam. And if you guys get that reference, we can be friends. And if not, leave chat immediately. Leave chat.
You need a friend who can share the load.
Right? Carry the ring to Mordor. I thought it was really funny because Sam is obviously something's happened to Sam. Nobody knows what it is, but something's gone on. He goes to the firing range. He's done the best time he's ever done. And then he's like, me and everyone who works for you, Avery, if there's something going on, we'll come with you. And you're like, oh, whoa, does he have
some ride or die homies?
Well, if you watch things like Yellowstone and stuff, you're like, oh, it's cowboy law. They'll all come and they're gonna back Avery because
absolutely.
It's their boss. They respect him.
Yeah, it's different from the city. In the country, everyone watches each other's back. And if you live together and if you work a ranch together, those are your ride or die homies.
And it looks well, I think Avery just was like, I have to do this for the right reasons by myself because look what happened to my parents. Look what happened to Altona. I brought so many people into this and it's up to me to finish it. Otherwise, I think he would have brought Sam. Or if he knew what the heck was going on with Sam, because I wouldn't want to bring if Jen showed up and she had magical glowing markings and nobody knew what it was, I wouldn't be like, hey, Jen, let's storm the castle together. It's probably not going to act up in this situation.
Also with Bloodruth's powers, she's heard of peakers, but she didn't believe that they were real, and now she's witnessing it for the first time. So there is a lot that Sydney knows, and there's a lot that she's still learning. But as you can tell, she's going to be someone that Avery keeps going back to, and that she can, lean on Avery as well. And I love that. Yeah, I love seeing them team up. Perhaps at the end on the last page.
I think they look.
I'm calling it a team up. That's just my dream. I want him to be hanging out.
That's fair.
Yeah, just saying.
Give the people what they want, Eric.
No, that's totally fair. I'm not even mad at it. I'm not mad at that at all because I mean, you see them. It is really cool because when I saw the artwork come back for that, I was like, man, it's a really cool scene with the three of them like at the end of the book, just standing together, looking on. It's like it does have this big like team up feel right to it, like okay, something.
Epic. It feels like, oh, those are our three heroes together. The only reason Solari's not there is because being a superhero / vigilante, not really legal.
That's exactly legal.
That's a lot of D99s he'd have to fill out for that shit.
Yeah.
Not quite. Okay, let me see if I can pull some of this up. So actually I can. We can go through through some of it now if you all don't mind. But so the book starts Isom, he's in this cave. Right? And this picks up he right here he's getting his ass whooped. He's getting his ass handed to him, but it's that's the point, right? In that at the beginning of the story, well, let's backtrack a little bit. Isom 2, they go in, they save Sam. He's really just trying to hold it down so Sam and Blood Ruth can get out, right? So that was, to me, was the perfect place to start everything, because I'm like, okay, why don't I start it where basically, you know that Isom still was in that cave, right? So what happened on his way out? And in doing so, you see that he's like, he's fighting these the devilings and what have you, but it's not going the way that it was before. And you can see like he's weaker, right? He's visibly weaker than what he was in the previous book. And obviously you can see that he does. And I love the scene where he gets set into one of the Shadow Wolves, ends up being what saves him, right? And he pulls him up. He's massive, by the way. Pulls him up, puts him on his back, and they ride off. Right? They ride on. Yeah. Yes, exactly. He's
boy.
Shout out to Eric for giving me a goodest boy moment.
Of course. I absolutely had to do that because those. Remember creating them. I wanted to give obviously Blood Ruth all between like the crow and the or the bird and the wolves. I wanted to give her something, or have her have something to show for all of these different adventures that she's going on. And instead of like, hey, I'm gonna go over here and do this thing, which again you learn more about what she's doing and what the Blood Ruths are in Blood Ruth #1, which, as the sister said, you should go read it if you have not already. But I wanted her to have something to show for it, and that's why they exist. So they obviously help her, but you can imagine that these are things that she got from her little adventures there, and those wolves can be very, very, very handy. But what I think some people caught, I did see some people catch this, but I do want to bring it up real quick, because Blood Ruth, obviously, when she reappears here, as you can see, if you remember in the scene that in Isom #2, where she uses her powers, where she's emitting blood into the ground when she's with Sam before they are, or as they are about to leave, and she says like, I don't know what I can do with this. And he thought he was like, what, you gonna blast us out of here? And she's like, nah, not quite. I don't really know what I'm gonna do, but hopefully from this, I'm able to get enough information to identify the others that were slain in that same prison, if you will, that he was in, that Sam was in, right? And this is why you get to this scene here where the scene before it, she's I was looking at one of the spells in the books, and and this is what she's seeing now. She can see what actually took place, and you got this sort of character right there that I'll be having some fun with in the future, that I'll be able to talk about, who ends up doing stuff, let's just say that. But I really wanted you guys to be able to see kind of some of her capabilities and what she's able to do with her powers in that scene. And I want to give a big shout out to Cliff, because he adapted that like properly there. But obviously from then, Isom ends up linking up with her, and I want to show the facial expression here, because the sisters were just talking about this, where he asked her what she knows about Peekers, and she thought she knows about it, but she thinks it's a myth.
Yeah.
And she's like, wait a minute, that can't be real. But you obviously the whole thing we're alluding to is Isom, obviously that's kind of what he is. And this is a pretty big scene, obviously, because it's the audience getting a first big glimpse at what Isom is, not just like what he can do. You've seen what he can do, some of the things
we finally get a name.
Yeah, but you get like what he can, and that's the thing. I mean, rest in peace, Stan Lee. But I mean, he was the first to tell you why he created the X-Men.
Yep.
Right. He created the X-Men because, and he wanted them to be mutants. The reason why he created this whole concept was because he realized that it's one thing to give someone a cool power, but giving them not just an origin, but like a reason why they have their powers, how they have them, that's a completely different animal.
A lot of
And
radioactivity back in the day.
Right? Also, there's a whole lot of that. Right?
Everything was radioactive back
everything
then.
from spiders to everything. But he created them because it's like, well, if I can just make a bunch of characters and just say they're born that way, I don't have to go through all of that. So and he's correct in the sense that that's not an easy thing to do. Definitely in this day and age where there's been so many different superheroes, and what I try to do with each character that I create, and not just giving them a power that is cool, but also giving them like having some level of uniqueness, right? So sure, maybe some character in some anime has this blood-based power or something like that, but it's not like how she uses it. Similar to, and to me, that's the most fun part. I guess that's the most intriguing part as a creator, in that I can create uniqueness in the characters by giving them uniqueness in how and why they are what they are. Not just simply they have super strength. That's part of it. And sure, you expect that in some sort of super powered hero. But what does that mean? And that's what this scene is all about here, and what you're picking up. It's like he's a peeker. So you're going to learn obviously a lot more about that in the future. But it does have this kind of mythical connotation to it, because Bloodroot's like, wait a minute. You see a facial expression here. Look at that, Bloodroot. Look at that.
Yeah. Our first plushie. Chat, I need y'all to demand a Spingy plushie next.
Oh, that would be so cute.
Oh,
I'm down.
Oh,
I'm
I
down.
don't
Spingy
care.
plushie in the chat.
just saying.
Yeah, Carol's in the chat. So big shout out to Carol.
Yeah, that was. He got some great stuff in that Dirty Deeds, but Spingy is so special. He's the first adorable character in the Rippaverse. I mean, Fastie's cute. Danny's cute when he's not running his mouth, but Spingy is all cute. He's adorable.
I like Felsier. I would cuddle him as a little puppy.
Yeah, I get it. I understand.
He is cute in a separate way.
That would be a good plushie too.
But yeah, like again, we'll have some opportunities to talk about that, and I wanted to drop that nugget kind of on the first half of the story, where you're like, oh, okay, wait a minute, we're getting some little knowledge about Isom here, but what does that mean? Like, what does that entail? Like, oh, we know now how Bloodroot react to it when she's like, wait a minute, that can't be real. And we get some more. We'll end up getting there to kind of the rest of the story, and we get some more about like what his powers are and what they mean. Because I don't want it to get away from us, and we're not just doing this as like a basic, like a usual show, or it's not ripping a silverback for sure. We get to go through super chat while we're streaming. Golem with a 5 says, "Hell, writing my own comic while I listen to this. Hope to start drawing it soon." Well, congratulations. Says, thanks for the inspiration. Love what you all do. Much love. Much love to you as well. And I'm glad you are enjoying your process. Have fun with it, man. That's what it's about. My man's Eric the Guapo says, I had the Bloodroot mini finished, but where I stored alcohol. Oh no. And it dissolved overnight. I'm going to make another one. Oh man. I want to see it, man. I want to see it paint. It's fine. I want to see. I can't wait to see it. I want to see that, Benny, and I'm going to. We'll make sure the Rippaverse. Well, hell, you got social media guys right here. We'll make sure we share it out once you do the
tag the account. I will make sure that gets shared.
We want to see it.
So sorry.
That's heartbreaking, man. I know the level of work that gets put into that. Damn.
Oh no, that sucks. Oh man. Well, again, sucks, but I can't wait to see everything. Big shout out to Eric the Guapo, huge supporter. Much love to him. Plant Vortex says, are there any updates to the display stuff? Not yet. We got a whole lot of other stuff that we're working on. We'll get there though. My man's 32 Flavors of Nick Weiser says, I love how Sebastian gave the Isom title its own look. Yaira had the blue-green, while this thrives on the orange and yellow. Yeah, he has that vibrant kind of tint to it. Really to match the colors. One of the best colorists out there, and he really wanted to match the colors. Adding him to this series was massive for him. And you got to see it in Trinity. First time that you got to see his artwork or his colors. Mm-hmm. And Isom 3, he did a wonderful job on it. But shout out to 32 Flavors, my man, Nick Wise, awesome dude. Chris K, what's up, dog? Says, did it, Sylvia, ladies? I'm excited for this Friday. Yes, you guys are going to be on their show, right?
Hell yeah. This Friday. I'm so excited. Gentlemen, thank you for having us.
We're going to have so much fun. Guys, chat. Come on over. See you Friday. You got Friday night date with the three of us.
Yeah.
Let's go.
And I promise no spoilers, Andrew.
He'll be watching.
I will be in the chat.
He will be watching.
His face.
So really no spoilers then. Okay.
Major Chaotic with a 5 says, I read that part to my girlfriend and showed her that panel of the page. And then she yelled out Rippaverse team, but someone talking about the end. I got you.
Yeah.
Awesome. I appreciate that. Larry says, Avery Isom is who I relate to the most. I really have to pick my battles, and his arc really speaks to me. Really relate to having a super mom. Awesome. Thanks. That is awesome, man. But yeah, look, Isom is, and I think with all of us, especially you all out there that, you know, faith and it's always being tested, and again, forgiveness and the general concept of it, you know that it's something that you're supposed to do, but it can be very, very difficult. And I think that's what really, you know, definitely people that are trying to do good, it's often what they do. They're doing, when it's most difficult, obviously they're doing that thing. And I wanted to make sure that was properly captured in Isom, because he goes from, you see this ego about him in the first books. You see how it impacts him. You see that his powers are tied to it as well. So when he's not doing the right things for the right reasons, how it depowers him. And while we all don't necessarily have superpowers, and I'm not going to speak for everybody here, but I know all of us are men and women of God. But for me, it's the same way. It's like I seem to get the most blessings showered upon me when I am making those difficult decisions to do the right things, to forgive, and so forth. So, you know, his power is tied to that. It's tied to that in itself, to where when he is walking down that wrong path, he literally cannot do what he's meant to do. That so it's intrinsic to power. Go ahead, Marco.
It's tied to his will,
right?
Technically, his powers are only going to be as strong as his will is. So.
Right.
Yeah. When his heart is in alignment with the plan for him, that's when his powers are at their greatest.
Yep.
And it's something you had figured out before any of this, because the first time we ever met in real life, you told us about his powers. Oh man, it's nice to see, because there's so many adaptions with faith that they kind of make it look loserish and lame.
Yes.
But everything in Rippaverse makes religion look really super cool, and I really like that, because if you ever read the Bible, you're like, wow, these stories are pretty badass. Like when Jesus puts those demons into those pigs and they run into the water, like there's some pretty metal stories in there.
Yeah. Oh, absolutely. We talked about that last week. Some real metal stories in the Bible, man. Big time. So glad you got something from that, Larry. That's what it's all about, brother. Mr. Reed said, with a fire, Eric, you definitely threw a curveball with the Jasmine plot. The Isom 3 trailer also made it seem like she was a damsel in distress. Yeah, I was purposely setting y'all up for the misdirect, because like I said, nobody for the most part so it worked. Look, there's going to be we love seeing you guys are in the Discord and everything. You guys are always chatting about what's going on, and some of y'all have insanely accurate guesses about like some of the stuff that's going to happen. So I was like, do I have a leak like in the coming? What's going on? But no, it's but for this one, I wanted to make sure that part, like nobody would have saw it coming, right? Until it happened. So it was a big time, a lot of misdirection as far as the marketing is concerned, as well as what was going on in Isom. When you first saw her, you're like, well, she's clearly a damsel in distress. She's a victim. She's being somehow weaponized by or with Darren, and he's clearly got bad intentions. So because he's a bad guy, she's a good person, but she's caught up in this bad kind of situation. That was a setup, and then you find out by the latter half of the story, and then going into that final act, that wait a minute, she has power in and of herself, and she's acting on her own free will to do some things or work with an absolute scumbag. So
Yep,
nobody caught that until it happened, and that was how it should have been. So I'm glad that was a neat little surprise for you all. Larry says, now I am really curious about Avery Darren history. Yeah, they've known each other since they were young. So there's that.
Homies.
Yeah, Martian Coon with a 10 says, I have a question for you. If you're in the process of creating a novel, how will one get in contact with you potentially to get it in comic form, or do you accept submissions? We're not in a position to accept submissions. I would say that. I mean, Rippaverse is there for you to do your own work, and if you want to go through the submission process there of like maybe trying to publish your own work, great. You can do that, but as far as like the actual Rippaverse stuff, like just legally, that's a nightmare. We can't really accept submissions or anything like that. So I would encourage you, if you do have some great ideas or you want to turn that into comics, there's some awesome artists out there that would maybe love to work with you. So give it a shot. On a side note, the hospital scene in Isom 1 makes more sense. Exactly. After reading Isom number 3. Says also, hello, ladies. Q Val Venus. Hello, ladies. Val Venus.
The 90s was crazy for us.
It was wild. That was a wild character.
Venus even happened, or Shattered Dreams was a finisher, like
that they even became a family company now.
Yeah.
I remember being a young one, and you were gonna see 3D assets every page.
Yeah.
Yeah, you were.
And someone was going to bleed. And if Mick Foley was wrestling, he might die.
Yeah, potentially.
He was like actively trying to die while he was wrestling. At least one could not be, one could be excused for believing that.
Yeah.
But
that's
you can
for
tell
sure.
God loves Mick Foley.
Yeah.
God loves Mick Foley. And Mick Foley's a sweetheart, too. Did you know he's a giant Santa Claus enthusiast?
Yeah.
No, I did not.
First I've heard of that. No.
He actually made a documentary about it, and he dreams of being able to be a Santa Claus, and I'm like, make him a Santa Claus.
In my heart,
especially now, I see like he's perfect.
right?
He has the look for it, the beard and everything.
Yeah.
Mick, if you're watching, and I know you are, I will make your Santa Claus movie.
Yeah.
Let's do it. Let's do it. We have Larry says, did I underestimate Darren? Perhaps.
I think
Very
he did.
capable guy.
A little bit.
He's
Mr. Reese says, Isom 4 win. I'm working on stuff first though. I got to get Sersha and Salvage in order, as well as Norfolk. So let me get those in order, and then I'll go back to Isom. Had the privilege of reading all of Ill-Advised back to back, and it just got better and better. Absolutely love Avery's art and can't wait for more. Thank you, Mark. I appreciate that. Glad you got something out of it. But yeah, going back to the actual story.
Oh,
Mr. Silver, I love Jacob.
He's such a good hubby, but he's gonna be pissed when he finds out his wife and his son have been lying to him.
Yeah. That's a big part of it, and what you get from this whole entire scene is that like he's clearly not in the know of what all his son and his wife is capable of doing, right? And look, this was quite the challenge, and we'll go through the scene here in a bit, but I wanted to capture, if you've read some of the Great War separation, you see them, the younger Jacob, Harriet, and Isom, as well as Altona.
That whole pickle jar fiasco. That was
that's a good woman.
Yeah.
Point.
Yeah.
Harriet's not only a badass, she's a good woman.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And I wanted to depict that. It's like, sure, does she have all these powers? Absolutely. But she in this relationship, and then you can clearly see in the dynamics of this relationship, she clearly like allows her husband to be a husband, allows her husband to be a man. And there's what I love about this entire scene, obviously for you guys that I know I kind of jump from scene to scene here, but in this scene we are getting some of the baddies that Darren sent to Avery, the Silman household, right? Not Avery's parents' household. And they were in the backyard just kind of chilling, or she went inside and he's chilling, and they jump over the fence, and they get into this major scuffle. But simultaneously, and this is what makes the scene so crazy, is that simultaneously you are seeing her and Harriet, and she's inside, right? She goes check up on his pie and what have you, and they enter the building. And so you have Jacob outside dealing with his issues, and then you have this. But up until this point, you don't know anything about her or even Jacob for that matter. This is really your first big introduction to them, at least in this capacity. See Jacob, again, very capable, doesn't have powers, but he's a very capable man, right? And remember, he's former military. God knows, older guy, but he got that old man strength.
I was about to say,
right?
He's got that old man strength. He just tosses the shades up into the air.
Yeah, that was. Yeah, I'm glad you brought that up because big shout out to I love how he depicted this because I wanted him to. I wrote this in, didn't know how exactly Cliff was going to. I tried to be as descriptive as I possibly can, but yeah, that's what he's doing. He's taking off his shades, he's throwing them up. And they look up at it, obviously, because it's like, what the hell are you doing? And he uses that as an opportunity to get a clean shot on this guy. And I love the dynamic of this scene right here. He really capture like how hard he just caught this guy here. And then again, he's in the backyard. He's over, he's rustling, tussling and with these guys. But like I said, simultaneously, you have Harriet in here being attacked. And again, up until this point, Harriet's just like, she seems helpless, right? And I know this scene pissed a lot of people off up until this point because you told me about it on the internet. And where you see, they are going to attack her, and he picks up this chair and wham, just smacks her with it.
Imagine if this was a shorter book. Guys,
if it ended right there,
piss you off.
Yeah.
That was the cliffhanger ending to this. Think this is a normal 26 pager, right?
Yeah,
monthly comic, and this issue ends on that page. Oh my god.
Yep. So it's like you're like, oh snaps! Like they've attacked his mother and they hit her, and what have you. And because it goes back to the other scene, you're left with what's going on in the house and. Jacob's trying to get the best of him, and if you see the actual dialogue, he's more worried about getting to her, right? Like that's what his duty is here. He's like, he's not fighting them just to fight them. He's not fighting them off just to fight them off. He knows that his wife is in trouble, and he's trying to get to her. And this is why you have him like reaching and all that. So you go from that scene to this, and you're like, wow, like they really got overpowered until you see her start to rise. Right,
face looking really pissed off and badass.
Right, I'm a gangster right here.
Yeah,
and the exact scene, and I'll read it for you guys because I don't have the lettering here where the line before she goes to start to show off some of her powers right here, which she says the world is already cruel enough. A person should at least find peace in their own homes. How many families have you torn apart by taking that from them? So she's what's aggravating Harriet in this scene is more not obviously she can whoop these guys' ass up and down, right? Because then this is what happens during this reveal. It's like, oh shit, she's like she's akin to her son and what she can do some stuff, but she's looking at it from a moral standpoint and like. So if I had no powers, right, you were willing to come in there and ruin our peace, right? And that's what she's trying to explain to them. It's like, I'm in my home. Like this is supposed to be our sanctuary. This is anybody else's sanctuary. If nothing else, they know the world can be cruel outside. If nothing else, they should be able to have peace within their own homes. And these men had absolutely no problem going in and doing exactly what they did.
So well written, boss. I love.
I tried. I tried. I tried. But the scene here, moving forward just a little bit, and that's the scene where you see her first show off her powers. And she says, "May the Lord have on you what I cannot promise, mercy." And then that's when she goes and she starts to kick their ass. So this is the audience or the reader's first sight of, oh shit. Like she has powers like Isom. She can do what Isom. She has no problem getting them up out of there. I want to go round table because I know that was a pretty big scene, and I would love to know everybody's thoughts on that part because again, that's a big reveal. That if you have as you're reading the story, you're finding out, oh snaps, Harriet has powers. So how did you all feel about that scene there?
Well, I didn't expect for me to think the babe of Isom 3 was going to be Harriet Isom's mom. Because, like, every issue that's Yaira. And then when Blood Ruth showed up, I was like, whoa, another hot chick? What's going on? And then after reading this part with Harriet, especially what she says to those thugs, I was like, I love her. She's like one of my favorite characters because that is like I don't know. It feels like an All Might. It feels like a big like superhero moment where she has that speech to them, and you're like, oh man, she just wanted to see what they were going to do to this defenseless mother before she decided what she was going to do back to them. And again, she has to be chill. She probably could have thrown them right through the roof, but her husband's right outside, who still thinks he has to open pickle jars for her. So he's got to, she's got to keep it on the DL still. And then part of her must know, like, oh, I guess the stuff that has been going on with Avery, the reason my son isn't calling me and I'm getting no like updates, this has finally come to our house.
Right. There was a lot of rage when I first read it because I was like, Lincoln isn't coming to save them. And it was more 2 against how many guys? Yeah. I wasn't looking forward to what was going to happen to Jacob or Harriet. Yeah. And then she got that WWE style chair in the back. And I both loved it and hated it because I was like, okay, this is a powerful motivator for Avery. And then when she got up like the Undertaker with that power, and she was checking on a pie too, like power and femininity together, because she's still being a mama and she's still being a wife. And I love that so much. She doesn't turn into like this super masculine character. Even the way she fights is kind of graceful and beautiful. And it was just such an, sorry, Jay, if you're listening, fuck yeah moment. So good and so empowering. And there's a lot of moments like that in Isom 3 where the payoff is just like so sweet. Mm-hmm. You're like, oh, I never even imagined she could defend herself. I was hoping that Jacob would be able to run in and save her. Yeah. And then I was like, oh, this woman can open her own pickle jars, but God bless her for asking, right? Yeah. Like she never emasculates her husband. She never even, and I think that's part of the reason that she's keeping the secret. I don't know, chat. I'm just making an educated wish there. I think that's part of it. And I think that Jacob will one day be pissed. And I think one day Altona will be pissed.
I think they don't want to burden their family because like how scared would Jacob and Altona be if they knew Avery and Harriet had this power that was bestowed upon them. And sometimes they would have to do heroic stuff. Like, I don't think Altona doesn't even know that he's Isom. So there's so much secrecy put there. And I don't know.
Altona does know that Sally is Yaira. So you can almost taste that she's going to throw that in his face when it comes up.
There's a big fight brewing, but I'm a big Spidey fan. And Spider-Man didn't go around telling everybody. Like the amount of times they're like, oh, damn, Aunt May's going to find out now. And she doesn't. And that's kind of like the fun cat and mouse of it. Like how long be able to keep this under wraps. And
I appreciate them not wanting to burden their family, and Harriet not wanting to burden and not take anything away from her husband. I understand that. It's a pretty big secret to keep though.
Yeah. And guys, for no reason, get Great War. Just get Great War.
Might as well.
No reason whatsoever. Has no bearing or relevancy to the topic at hand.
But if you read the first one, Jacob and Harriet and Avery and Altona are in it. Yep. I don't know why.
Yeah, why not?
Not sure.
Oh man, but like I said, I wanted that dynamic to exist because I felt that it was you're dealing with a superhero world, so not everything is meant to be realistic, right? But I wanted that aspect of it to be like you could understand why. Again, they have this big power that's bestowed upon them. And even if nothing else, Isom 3 is an example of how, once they know, or, if there's like anything that they do and it has other ramifications that can, unfortunately, have bad things happen to their parents, siblings, or what have you. So, you know, it makes more sense that they are keeping that type of stuff kind of the secret between the both of them. So, yeah, this scene right here, though, you know, we get a young Avery here, first job, you know, working at a pawn shop. You get some of the dialogue surrounding this, and you know, his father wanting him to learn a little more and on the job and all that stuff. But he gets sent on this pick because, you know, it's obviously alluded to in this whole little storyline that he's not just young, but he's been working here for a little bit. And you know, he does end up telling Mr. Dorset tells him, like, hey, there's not much upward mobility that I can have for you, right? You're already like basically second in command. You're doing all these picks with me and everything. It's not much else that I can do for you here.
Aside from you taking over the shop.
Yeah, aside from you just replacing me, you know, and taking over the shop, it's not much else that I can offer you. But he sends him on this pick, right? It's the first time that Avery goes on a pick, like on his own, right? Previously or up to then, you know, him and Dorset, they went together or whatever. Now he's like, okay, look, let your wings fly. Go figure this thing out.
He can't fly, Eric.
Well, if you read the first book, that is very true. So yes, he gets here and he goes to the pick, and this is where you learn about this character here, and he is again one of the adopted by, or rather, the be canonized. If you remember that from Isom 1, that's the first character that you get to see from that. I wanted to make him very vital to this story because through all of this, he obviously discovers through this pick, like he says, hey, out back, you know, all the family, they've been dumping all this stuff here. You can go back there, you know, we'll talk numbers and everything. Just go back there, figure it out, whatever, see something you like. Opens up this deal. He finds something obviously is of value. Maybe there'll be some storylines surrounding this whole part right here. But when he runs back, and this is kind of more or less the defining moment here, when he does end up running back to Mr. Dorset, he's like, he wants him to keep it. He doesn't even want to know what's in it. He's like, hey, I got this thing. It's worth all this money, man. Mr. Dorset's like, no, I don't want to see it. That's yours. That's yours. Again, keeping in mind that, look, I don't have any, there's no more upward mobility for him. He's a young guy. I want him to let his wings fly. And he asks him kind of like what he's going to do with it. And this is where you get Avery talking about, you know, getting his own property and all that stuff. Was obviously older Avery has that, right? So you find that it was more of an aspiration. And look, completely different, even though they're sisters, completely different, or that's his sister, excuse me, Altona, his siblings, completely different. Like, she's the academic, right? Played sports, she's the academic. Isom has a more familiar story that I think even to maybe some of you guys in the chat, not everybody is meant to be in this academic, right? At all. You know, she goes and comes and gets a doctorate, becomes goes work for this, but actually gets on the board of this biotech company. Whereas Avery goes, he goes in a different route. How he tries to make his own living, it's vastly different from his sister. In fact, if you pick up on some of the communication that they have, they don't really quite understand that, because that's not how they were brought up, or she was brought up either. She thinks he's just out in the boonies dicking around for the most part when he's not. You know, he's got his own accomplishment, own ranch outside in Shadow Valley outside of Flores Park. But yeah, I wanted this to be a way to kind of set the scene for, you know, you learning more about some of the important people in his life that helped kind of have that, not I want to say change the trajectory, but really determine rather where Isom is going to go in his adult life. And that was the whole point of this scene, right? Where we're setting the scene for, okay, how does Avery become a rancher? How does he get in this position? And I wanted to plant some of those some of those seeds. That was the whole point of this.
Uh-oh. We lost the boss.
What the hell is going on? Anyway,
I don't know, but we lost you for a second.
I got kicked out. I kicked myself out. But anyway, so yeah, that was the whole point of that scene there. Moving on a bit. And this here, obviously Avery ends up going back to, and we have this big family moment here. When Avery goes back to his home, he meets up with his mother and his father. And one of the things that Jacob, his father, ends up, saying right here, it's like, he's not just, as he recognized that his son is a grown man.
Mm-hmm.
And he wants him to lead. That's what that last scene is. He was like, do what I taught you. This is on you. I'm not going to be the one to try to figure this out for you or anything like that. He's like, what do you advise to do in this situation? Do what I brought you to do, and that's go lead, right? And so he's entrusting that his son is going to act in his family's best interest, right? And look, I understand that it's really, really easy, especially in this day and age, to have like definitely a flagship hero or just a hero in general come from this really broken home. And I wanted Isom to have the opposite. I wanted him to have parents that cared about him, that were respectable in their own rights, and they were good parents, and they had a good relationship, most importantly. Right? That was the biggest thing that I wanted to convey here. Was like, it's not dysfunction. Like they don't have a dysfunctional relationship. They're very much a family that cares about each other. You get some of that maybe in Great War if you read that as well, where you see just how important that is to Avery, or important that is to Jacob and Harriet and all of them. I wanted Avery to have a father that meant something, and in a day and age where, especially in media, you don't seem to see those good male masculine figures, unfortunately. I wanted to make sure that we made that happen here, and that was my way to make that happen. So moving on.
I love him, and also it's like both of them are giving him like the foundation of what makes him a superhero, especially like how Jacob tells him how to deal with situations, and then meanwhile Harriet's telling him how to use his powers. It's interesting because they have she probably knows what he's doing, but he has no idea what his wife is doing.
Right. Exactly. So moving on quickly, and this is the big villain, that the new reveal, the big new reveal. We get to outside of Jay Sully Ward.
Oh yeah,
we need a Jay Sully Ward comic. I want to go inside there and see who's already locked up. I want to see who's the different X-Up guards on
it's clearly not just Max, right? Because you get in this scene in this conversation, like that's the conversation that they're basically having, right? Is that, well, who's on duty today, right? So clearly there's more of them, but Max happens to be on duty here, and you see the introduction with the tongue right there. And you see kind of, more or less silhouette, and then the big reveal right here. And I absolutely love this scene.
Monster.
Again, we were talking about like, okay, design wise, could have went either way. And when I see this from Cliff, I'm like, oh man, he did exactly what I thought he could do. And that's make this character look absolutely badass. But yeah, I wanted him to pop on the scene, and you see the shooting at him, hard to make things happen to him, or it penetrate his body as far as and I love the scene right here where he basically shoulder thrust a freaking Hummer, and then takes the Hummer, throws the Hummer into the helicopter.
With his tongue.
With his tongue. Yep. With his tongue. throw it into a helicopter, and man, what an absolute introduction here. But again, we had another character that we actually introduced as well, where he goes and saves them because some of them, his chute didn't come loose, so he's basically about to die if Max doesn't jump up there and goes to grab him. And then we get the introduction of Max, and Max, as I said earlier, another be canonized, the great Porter Stanley. Big shout out to him. This is a character that's based that he's based upon, and I wanted to have this the except that's working on duty today. And also you learn a bit more about how people see J. Sully Ward. Max sees it one way, sees it another, and they have this conversation. But it really was a diversion, as you see here, in which he's like, all this shit's happening. They've broke in. They've obviously taken something here. And he's like turning away, like trying to figure out what the hell's going on. And that's when the little bounces. Right. So again, design wise, it could have went either way. I'm putting this jean jacket on this fucking lizard.
It looks cool.
It looked cool. It came out pretty sweet.
Chuck Norris would have worn the jean jacket.
Yeah, true. That's true. That's true. But yeah, man. Shout out to Marcos, who really led with the design on that. I gave you the idea, the colors and all that stuff, and I was like, when I'm explaining it to you, I'm like, man, this could turn out shit. But you made it look cool, and then Cliff really drove it home with the actual like the fight scenes you see.
He was shirtless first. I don't know if you remember.
Yeah,
design.
he was. The first design was he was shirtless.
Yeah,
it was like three of them. It was like three of them or so that we did back and forth.
The shirtless one, the nude one, which is no pants or nothing, and then the actual one,
just a lizard. Yeah.
Oh my.
Yeah.
Crazy.
Yeah, just straight lizard. And I was like, let's throw something on him and see how it works. And
give him his dignity.
Yeah.
And if Ben Riley can pull off the cut off hoodie, man, then he can pull off the jean jacket.
Jean jacket, right? yeah. Hell yeah. But yeah, like moving on, just quickly here. Obviously, Isom, we really have this coming to the realization moment when he was, sitting out there and he's like, look, man, I'm gonna make this call to he realizes he needs some level of help.
Yeah.
And he makes that call to Altona's boss and Lincoln, and they end up meeting up. And you realize that he had the place bugged like Club Merc, and he realized kind of what they were up to and where they were meeting up and what have you. And Avery decides he's gonna go do his own thing. But you don't know that initially. Now, this scene right here, of course, I had to have Gooding. That was a big part of that plot that a lot of people were talking about. This guy comes out of this prison in this cave with these weird devilics, and he's got these markings on his back that light up. You can't just leave that alone. Something has to. We gotta have something. Yeah, we gotta have something there. And so we have Gooding looking into this like he should. This is what he does. And they're having a little some trouble figuring that out. But man, I love these little robots. I like how Cliff designed them. I wanted to make them do some really cool things. But this is the scene where he's boxing. You see Isom boxing or what have you before he's like,
nice.
he gets like really coming to Jesus moment of him realizing what he must do and what he has to do. Again, if you read the story, you'll see some of the actual dialogue before and that's the conversation that he's having before he goes to Jack Brandt's little oil field there. Now,
super cinematic, boss. Do you think about the look while you're writing the scene, like the look?
Yeah, I do. I try to be as descriptive as I possibly can for that reason, because I'm thinking of this like all in my head, like how this is gonna go. But definitely when you're working with an artist, you never know. You never know like how that's gonna look. It's like you can have it up here and you can write it down. Doesn't mean you're communicating it well. I try to be as descriptive as I possibly can. The Danny O'Neill approach to writing comics, and I try to be as descriptive as I can for Cliff. And he does such a great job. And you've had an opportunity to work with him as well because he's underdog.
Oh, yeah, he was a dream on the underdog.
Yeah.
That was his first wrestling thing, but it looks like he's been doing wrestling stories his entire life. It's insane.
Yeah, he's so good at action and those like little human moments between the action parts. Like he can do it all.
Yeah, the subtlety of expression. It's incredible. And he's fast.
Yeah, he's
he's quick. He makes his deadlines. Yeah, he's an awesome guy to work with. Very professional. So we meet Mr. Brent, and you see Darren here. He's talking to him because he's thinking about buying the place out. Right, again, showing how far Darren's reach goes.
Don't trust Darren, Brand. Don't trust
of course,
Darren.
You shouldn't. But he shows him around. He shows him around the place. And this scene, Rick, before we get there, I had an interesting scene here because I'm like, okay, obviously, if you have this reputable, oil field or whatever, it's not just gonna be people just able to waltz on in there, right?
Mm-hmm.
So I remember thinking long about like, how am I gonna justify Isom not just like busting right on through, I mean, I guess that makes sense, but you got to remember, Isom's on this different path, right now. He's not trying to go in just guns a-blazing or anything.
Yes.
So his logic is, okay, I'm trying to keep the peace. I just want to go in, and he ends up buying one of these. Basically, the way he's explaining is like, hey, I'm actually with Darren. All right, I'm with these guys. Like, but I forgot my stuff, man. They'll kill me. I got to get in there. They have this big meeting, and one of the workers that's outside is like, oh, I got one of these get ups. Put this on, and that's how he's going to go in. So remember, though he has his get up on, and the worker actually addresses that, like, dude, you weirdos with your attire.
I love that
It
joke.
calls him a hipster.
Yeah, it calls him a hipster.
Hipsters dressing weird and shit.
Yeah, it calls him a hipster because it is uniform. But you remember, like, again, Isom's not the guy that's like gonna go flying in, some place. No, it's like he drives his freaking truck around, right? But yeah, so that's how he gets in. But I love how Cliff drew this whole interaction with this is when, by the way, Sam realizes things have hit the fan because he's trying to call Avery, and Avery's not answering the phone. So he's like, oh, he's about to go in there and get himself killed. And that's when he calls who you end up finding out is later Santo, who he's now paying. But I really wanted Darren to be a cold-blooded son of a what.
Yep.
And there was only one way that I thought to do that. I was like, I'm going to have the deal go sour, right? Isom, of course, is going to come in. He's shaking some stuff up because he takes off the get up. He's ready to shake some stuff up. They go in to talk.
Mm-hmm.
And you got to remember, Darren you start talking to guys like Darren sideways, he starts feeling some kind of way.
Darren doesn't like disrespected.
He doesn't.
That's a hard line for him.
That's where he loses it, right? When you start disrespecting him in the way, that's actually one of the similarities that he initially had with Isom, right? Mm-hmm. Albeit they act out in different ways.
Yeah.
But that was one of the common themes for them. And so he ends up, after feeling belittled, he just flat out shoots the guy.
So evil.
No hesitation yet.
No hesitation either. Turns around, bang.
And that says a couple of things about Darren. That says how much how much little self-control he has in certain instances, right? When he feels disrespected, just like you were talking about. But it also, I think, tells a lot about how much power and influence he knows he has, because he's just gonna shoot this fool right here. And somebody, if you are the CEO, or rather if you are the owner of a big oil company, you're not a nobody. It's not like you're Joe and you got shot in a back alley and nobody's gonna miss you or know about it, right? Eventually someone's gonna hear that the dude got killed, right? And Darren just does it anyway.
Doesn't care.
Because
What are you gonna do about it, right?
Yeah, he knows how much power and influence, just like you were saying earlier. He owns this city, basically.
Yep.
Oh yeah,
Yep.
and the symbolism of taking his hat and putting it on, it's just him basically being like,
and then smoking a cigar on his
is mine.
Yeah.
You don't if as soon as I want it, it's already mine. You're just standing in the way. You could have actually made a little bit of money on this deal. And now the way Darren sees it, he's smoking a cigar. I just saved a little money on this deal.
Yeah, he's not even bothered by murdering a guy. Not even bothered. He's like, I've had a busy day. I'm just gonna have a cigar right now.
Yeah. A little me time.
A little me time for Darren.
He told us in Isom 1, some deals he made legit, others
not so much. Not so much. And he kicks back on this guy's desk, on Jack's desk, takes his hat, smokes a cigar, and he's just cooling. I just wondered, like, symbolism there is like Darren is the guy. If a guy, to your point, Andrew, as cocky as him, if he's willing to do that, that this is a guy not to be messed with. And
he considers himself untouchable, like the king.
Yes, exactly. But yeah, moving on, we get some fight scenes, obviously, with Isom fighting some of Darren's men. But again, you find out here that, Bro's there too. And he is obviously working with Darren, which is what the big reveal kind of here. And, I love this. This is love how Cliff captured this.
That was a great moment.
Pull his tongue and then using his tongue. I was like a scorpion, kind of get over here type of situation with the guy with his own tongue for him to, pull him in and punch him, right? And and again, we got to remember, like, he's starting to get back in his form. I know we didn't talk about it too much, but you got to remember that there's a conversation that he has before all of this with his mother. And that's one of the big reveals there is that, understanding who they are and what they are and where their power is derived from. You get some of the biblical context of that as well. And, it's like, essentially figuring out, like, you doing the right thing for the right reasons has a way of giving you your powers, right? That's how you peaked in the first place. So in the same respects, why couldn't it go away? And you know what I mean? And that's how it's how it kind of clicks for him. Like, I'm losing my powers because my heart is not in the right place. I'm not acting. I'm not acting righteously. And that was one of the big points that we tried to drive home. But you see, he's starting to kind of get back in the swing of things, and that's where we got the big deal here, where he ends up getting slung into the tank, and that's when he tells him, like, take the shot. Doesn't care.
I killed literally everybody.
He doesn't care. It's like blow this son of a gun up.
And we get a rare Eric July written 2-page splash.
Yes, I don't usually do these. These aren't my thing. I leave that to Joe and Chuck. These aren't my thing. But I felt
Joe
really
and Chuck make up for it. That's for sure.
Yeah, exactly. I
every 5 pages.
Those Zaylen spreads were stupid.
Oh, they're all killer. Those Zaylen spreads are killer. Each one of those are killer. But I wanted to. I felt that it was justified here.
Yeah,
I felt that it was justified here. So
powerful. This
is how you get the big scene here of everything just blowing up, and from then you're trying to figure out what the hell is going on with what happens to Isom. After that is what you're trying to figure out. Ladies, I know you got stuff you need to do, so I want to give you the out before the three of us finish on with some stuff. You got anything you want to leave the audience with?
If you haven't read the book, guys, thank you for being here anyways, but it is such a satisfying end to the ill-advised arc, and that last page with Shadran, I cannot wait for that rematch. That is like the biggest rematch in the world, because obviously Isom, he lost a lot of confidence in himself and his abilities when that happened, because not every hero can save everyone. With Gwen Stacy and Peter Parker, that was a huge motivator. Couldn't even save his uncle. You know what I mean? And that kind of stuff is full of regret. I like that Isom has already felt loss, and he's already had failure, because I don't like a hero that hasn't gone through hardship. I
Yeah.
think it's amazing that he has that motivation. And the fact that he's already setting his sights on Shadran is very exciting to me, because I want to see what a rematch would be like if he's at his peak performance. Andrew, pun for you.
I do have a positive influence around here.
Sure do.
What a pun.
And also, there's another villain that we saw at the end of Isom too. We see a little bit of a thread through what's going on with Sam, but even Gooding and Bloodworth are like, I'm not really sure what's going on. It feels like foreshadowing. I don't know. I don't want to say that we're going to see something. Well, I'm not going to say this is the start of something. I'm not saying that you should read every book and piece it together and be like, oh, I totally know what's going on. But
you should.
There's an
You should read every book.
omnibus coming out where you can get everything over the last 3 years, and it's actually a pretty good price.
Oh yeah,
So,
for
yeah.
1,300 plus pages, it's a steal.
Oh yeah.
Also, it's a weapon. It's for home security.
Yeah, that thing's massive.
Right across the face. What is that giant blood-soaked book on your coffee table? I'm glad you asked.
Maybe if that thug had cracked that over Harriet's back, she would have actually been down for the count.
That might have hurt her. That might have actually hurt Harriet. That might have
I'm
actually
just
hurt.
gonna say, don't sleep on Great War. It is a great limited series. There is some stuff that happens. I saw somebody post that they just got their Great War 2. I think that end thing should be a statue. I'm not going to say anything more. That's it. But there are some really spectacular visuals coming up. And as we've often said, we're just getting started. I've read a lot of the scripts. I've read Norfolka, you guys. There's so much good stuff coming out. It's like stupid. So get excited.
And I'm excited to hear your fan theories.
Yeah.
Please let us know where you think the story is going, because once in a while you guys will say something and I'm like, do they secretly work here?
Yeah, right. Like good on their guesses. Good on their guesses.
Spoilers out. He's like, this is how I do it.
They're good on their guesses. Good on their guesses. Well, ladies, I appreciate y'all joining us. And yeah, I know you will probably, I don't know, we'll have a roundtable next week or something like that. But I appreciate y'all stopping by today.
Oh yeah, more spoilers, you guys. More spoilers.
All right, ladies. Y'all take it easy.
Night, ladies.
Peace out. They're awesome. They're awesome. All right, continuing on here. So you find out what happened out of the scene. What was the misdirection at J. Sully Ward? So Darren Fontano has this artifact, if you will, Smatrox. And the whole deal here is like he's looking at like why he's trying to expand like these energy companies, and he's like, you know, that was the whole point of kind of, obviously the deal kind of fell through, but the whole point of him kind of expanding into this oil is like this sort of putting money on autopilot, right? And so he thinks of this way, and as far as having this, but also you realize that what you can do with this artifact. And again, we'll go through that here in a minute, but we get the reappearance here of Santo, who's who hadn't got paid.
He feels some kind of way about that.
And he feels some kind of way about that. He's not too happy about that.
I gotta say, I love that both of Santuan's like entrances in both the books that he's appeared in kind of mirror each other, where it's somebody looking back and you just see this like
absolute
tank.
Yeah,
it's just freaking absolute unit just standing there. Like, if you're a smart human being, you don't piss that guy off.
Yep, exactly. And well, Darren has other accepts on his payroll now that he's gonna have deal with Santuan now that he has shown up here and kind of spoiled the day. And like I said, this scene here, this is again, shit's on fire. Everybody's acting like all is good, but stuff is on fire. And the way that between Sebastian Colors as well as our man's Cliff's art, I absolutely love this fight scene. That's the big clash that you see. It's almost reminiscent of kind of some of the clash you saw with Isom. But these guys go at it, and these fight scenes are, oh man,
it's some of Cliff's best work.
Oh, it's so good. They're so good.
the size comparison too of
Yeah,
how big Lepredo is
yeah,
compared to Santuan.
yeah.
Back then, we used to think that Santuan was like the biggest
Like the
so
biggest,
far.
yeah.
Now, yeah, now
It's
this
always a
Isom's
bigger
this big ass
fish.
lizard. Yep,
Yep.
bigger
You see
lizard in this case, but
Yep, it's a big ass lizard in this case. But yeah, some of the just look at the colors on this, man. Sebastian just did such a great job in bringing this to life. But the line art on this is some of the best that you're gonna see from Cliff.
and the
Absolutely love
paneling
it.
as well. The
Oh yeah, the
paneling,
paneling and big
the
shout out to
angles.
a big shout out to Kanan on that because I remember this is something that he
Mm,
specifically mentioned during the scene
Mhm.
when he was talking with Cliff about this. He was like telling Cliff to go wild. He was like, "This is supposed to be this big fight scene. Go wild. Don't be afraid to really trick out some of these panels, man." And
Mhm.
man, he took him up on
mhm.
that. He took him up on that. But yeah, the fight scene that you see between those are some of the best that you're going to get. But the big reveal out of all this, when she's like, "All right, stop it, I've had enough," sitting on watching all this shit go down, and this is the big reveal of Jasmine.
Yes, man.
Now, if you've
Just a
been
great single page splash too.
yeah, she walks through, and now you finally see this is the chick. The whole reason why Isom went down this rabbit hole is because of this, who was a family friend, thought she was just this intern working for Projexis, and Altona's just looking out for her, doing some digging. And then you come to find that, well, there is a lot more to this gal than her just being some damsel in distress. But on this scene here is when you find out that she has powers. So not only does she
Mhm.
show up, she has powers. And this is kind of reminiscent of some of the scenes or the concept art that you did, Marcos. Right. That's why I specifically had you do it like that, because of like this is going to be an actual scene.
Mhm.
Right. So
Yeah,
she
with the
has
orb.
this, yeah, the orb, right? And so you can see that, well, Santoine tries to approach her and she's forming this orb, and then both of them are in it, and Santoine's not moving at all. Like he's stuck, essentially. So everybody's like, "Oh shit, this is what Jasmine's all about," and that's when you
She can like
learn that what,
freeze.
yeah,
Like she can freeze
um,
man.
and that's what. It's funny because you get here where you get because his foot was stuck out of it, and you get
Yeah.
Lebro pulling him out of the
He
bubble.
just drags him.
The grappler throws his ass up out of there, which is really funny. But that is why Fontano himself is he finds usefulness in Jasmine. That's the whole reason why she's here. Because you can understand where you have these artifacts, right? Like that require aging of some sort. Well, you have someone that can do
Mhm.
that. Well, that gives you quite the advantage when you have access to resources. And you could see that the orb, or excuse me, the mind truck, how massive it starts to get when she, she has it in her bubble, right? So this is what he's looking at in terms of her usefulness. And by the way, this scene here, like look at this, look at the art on this, man. Like Cliff, I mean, look, you got fucking him stomping, and then you got the rocks and shit flying up because he's beating the absolute crap out of Santoine now. But yeah, it's not over
That's
till it's
action right
over.
there.
It is.
That's a
It
money
is
shot.
right there because you like, all right, Santoine's dead in the water, right? Until
Yeah.
a certain guy stops his hand from punching, and it's none other than our man Isom returning. Now,
He's
this
ready
is
to
a pretty
go.
big deal here because Isom is. We know his relationship with Santoine, right? This is something that he easily could have been like I'm just gonna let these
Let him
idiots
kill him. Right.
let them kill him,
Yeah,
right?
exactly.
But that's not, especially after the coming to Jesus moment for him. That's not what Isom is about, and he realizes what he must do, and that's why he is stepping in. And despite his again his history with a guy like a Santuan, he steps in and essentially saves his life, and he gets his own badass fight scene with Santuan. Like, just to show some of the artwork on this real quick. These two pages here really do represent everything. This was after Isom launched himself in the air off of Santuan's back to come back down crashing. And I love the how dynamic this scene is here. And as he goes crashing down into Leopardo, man, golly, what a scene here. And obviously after that, he's dragging his ass over to Fontano. It's like,
I love it.
Yeah,
He's just dragging him by both of his tails.
By his tails. By his tails, dragging his ass to Fontano. But what I wanted to have happen here, and I kind of speed this up because it gives you an idea. I'm gonna have some fun with it because I want everybody to continue to speculate. But you get the scene where he walks up, Jasmine thinking she could just trap it just like she did with Santuan, trap his ass in the bubble, and it doesn't work. And I love this scene here as well. After what happens here in a bit, this is where he is up thrusting. He comes out of the bubble and he's up thrusting. So Jasmine's like, "How in the hell did you do that?" But I love this scene here. Again, we don't have the actual dialogue, but Jasmine gets to see firsthand how cutthroat
Darren is. Yeah.
Darren is, right? In that
he was shot right through Jasmine.
He was totally prepared to shoot right through, shoot her to get to him.
Even after we just got that speech from him saying how valuable she was to him, he would have just without blinking.
He doesn't care, right? Like, that's just, again, Andrew put it perfectly earlier in talking about this is a guy that knows he's powerful and feels like he can do whatever the hell he wants to do.
But no consequences.
With absolutely no consequences. And then he shoots. He shoots. He takes the gun. He shoots into the bubble. And Darren and Avery's like, "You better put the damn bubble up, otherwise
you better do that thing." I love how it wasn't like, because he doesn't know what the hell he should.
Right, he does. Right,
he just has like some probably very vague idea based on what he saw before, right? And so he's like, "You better do that." Like, whatever the hell that was, right?
Exactly.
Like, that's like more organic dialogue is what that
exactly
is. That's how a normal person would respond in that situation.
Exactly. And again, he's back in the bubble. And you can see that he's explaining to her, like, this is what you're dealing with. This is the type of guy that you're dealing with, right? And he's moving freely. He grabs I love how Cliff adapted this scene here, where he gets to moving in again. He's in his time bubble. He's moving though, and he gets to start grabbing the actual the bullets or the rounds or what have you. And again, he's explaining all of this to her. He jumps out, and I love this scene where I finally got to put in there his catchphrase again.
Yeah. You can catch the street.
Yes, exactly. So
that got me excited when I read it.
Yeah. I love it because he's hitting the ground, everybody's flying all over the place, including Jasmine, and I love how Cliff adapted this scene. Like, what an absolute what a scene here, man. This is insane. Like I say, some of Cliff's best absolute best work And here, and I go to these two scenes. If nothing else, if you learn absolutely nothing else about Avery, you really learn about this. You really learn about him here. Has every opportunity. He's got it. He's the guy that has caused him this hell over the course of these 3 books. Now he's like, he grabs them, and you anybody else, you probably think, all right, he's gonna end up definitely somebody powerful as Isom, but Isom knows he can't do that, right?
He just tosses him.
He just freaking, I'm done with you, right? And he goes to help none other than Santo, which is his idea. It's like, I'm not worried. Let me go help this guy, right? And again, a guy that's also caused them hell. They've had a fight, not just in Isom 1. They fought before that, right? Like they're familiar. They're familiar with each other's game, right? And so he helps him up, and you get the scene where he ends up falling over, and that's when you get the scene. And I'll go read the dialogue here. Again, this is really Avery starting to learn who exactly he is, where he quotes the Bible, where he says, as difficult as it may be, Matthew reminds us, for if you forgive other people when they sin against you, your heavenly Father will also forgive you. And again, biblical ties to his powers and whatnot. And we easily could have ended it on that scene, right? Where he's walking away, he has Santo on his shoulders, right? And he's walking away, but you got this big lizard, and he's about to he has this kind of power up moment here. And you think he's about to do something.
He's like, we're not done here.
And then here's the Max, wait a minute. It won't be any of that.
Yeah, you ain't the Ginyu Force, man. I'm not waiting around for you to.
There won't be any of that power. There won't be any of that power up here. So Max comes in. I mean, I love this scene. Look at that. Basically, drop kicks him into the freaking ground. There and arrests him. But yes, then that's when he finally gets to walk away. So, like I said, my whole goal with this book, and I know that there's the important scene. I just want to show it just really quick. Here again, this is another be canonized. This is the parents of the cosplay girl that was killed by Shadran in Isom 2. He's looking at this punch. It's Isom. That punch isn't going to do much to him.
Nah.
But he decides to take it right on the chin. Because at this moment, what he's trying to do is make amends. It's more so like he knows that looking at it, trying to be less selfish, more selfless about that whole scenario where it retired him. He came up short, and unfortunately someone was killed in it, right? And he's trying to make that right. He knows that was his screw up, and he's turning the page. And this is really a moment where you get Isom like, look, man, I'm Isom again, and I'm gonna do this the right way. And so he goes to the parents. Obviously, chaos, as you can imagine, ensues because in their mind, especially the father, he's like, you're the reason why she's not alive. That's that's how any father will look at it. Look at that situation, right? So, and when you look at it from their perspective, like where Isom basically just disappears, like he's like gone. He chickened out or whatever, however you want to describe that. He said, "I'm hanging it up" after that, and there was no contact with his family. And they're grieving. They're left grieving with this this whole scenario where they're at this con, and their daughter is killed by some absolute maniac, right? And I wanted to give the audience or the reader somewhere to go with it, right? Isom's not done here. Isom isn't done here. We got some cool stuff that we're gonna do with him. So while he does have this, go ahead.
Sorry, I was just gonna say it's actually kind of interesting how even though we know that by this point Isom has already been established, like he was a hero before and then he quit and started up again. This ended up being like an origin story for him because
Mm-hmm.
now he's back and now we're gonna be able to
Good
see
point.
more from him from now on, and it's pretty stoked.
Yeah.
It makes a lot of sense as well.
And so again, he's trying to make that situation right. You see that there's a page where Shajan, he's back, right? Or not necessarily he's
Hmm.
back, you just see him. And the ending scene that we deal with, because this Sam thing isn't gonna go away. And what happened out of that situation isn't gonna go away. Maybe there's some things that I got planned. But obviously, these three are looking at it, and this is what you're left with from the end of this book, where you're like, okay, Gooding's trying to figure this out. Bloodroot's trying to figure this out. Obviously, you have guys that are specifically, or devlings that are specifically, for some reason, they take exception to Isom. No pun intended.
No pun intended.
No pun intended. So this isn't a random scene. We have plans, and there will be. We're going to continue to tell this story eventually. Trust me on that. Trust me on that. But what I'm most glad is that you guys found this to be a satisfying ending. I wanted to bring it home. I wanted to give you something I want to leave you with something. And I wanted to not have it so buttoned up and over with that people, yes, you could read that and move on to something else, which a lot of you will. We have plenty of books that we're dropping out here for the Rippaverse. But I didn't want it to just be this thing where it's like, that story's over with and I'm not leaving with you. Where do we go from there? It's just up in the air. Like, no, I wanted to have some sense of direction. So we got a lot of things solved. You did get a showdown with what's going on with Darren and Isom and what have you. But that ending of Isom #2, as well as that event that happened with Shajan, those are two things that we still have to revisit. So we have a new saga with future Isom. So there's that. I'm just glad
That's what you
that
do with
got.
long form storytelling.
Yeah.
Right? You want to tell, whether it's in a single issue or whether it's an arc, you want to tell something that is, yes, a complete story, but if you have plans for more, you want to start layering in even just little threads or little breadcrumbs in that story that you're telling over here. That way, when you tell the next one, it doesn't feel like it just came out of nowhere. No, you're laying the groundwork in the stuff you're doing now while not
Right.
taking away from the stuff you're doing now. And that's not an easy thing to do. That's actually incredibly difficult to do and do well. It takes many writers many years to learn and master that craft. And you managed to pull that off in this first arc for the character. And so now you have the groundwork laid for whatever's going to come next. And there's a lot to be excited about that. So I don't wear hats often, but my hat that is not on my head, I tip off to you.
Appreciate that, man. Much love to you. Yeah, we have a universe to build out, bro. Ultimately, so it doesn't just start and end here. We have to have a place to go, and that's very, very important in how we tell our story. So I will get back to more Isom stuff. I have Norfolka salvage though, as well as Saoirse stuff that I need to do, and then we'll come back to some Isom stuff. Achilles Jones says with a 10, who's actually doing the voice acting in the Isom 3 trailer? Well, I have voiced Isom, and Gigi Shelley voiced Altona. She did a killer job there.
Yeah, she knocked it out of the park.
You want to talk about just nailing on them. She's definitive Altona as far as I'm concerned. But Gigi, much love to her. That's a name. It's great work, dramatic tension. Besides becoming an animation, it could easily be also be an audiobook. Excuse me. Yes, I can see that. I can see that. Professor X with a 5 says very much appreciate the birthday gift of this stream. Also got to finally read Great War Separation #2. Let's go. Last night, loved the Mama Sylvan combat mode moments. Well, I'm glad you enjoy it. Thank you so much for that. Professor X, much love to you for the 5. Soon enough, we'll be talking Great War. We have Golem with a 5. Say if you are interested, I'll tag you in Valiant fan art. Can't wait. Where'd you tag me? Can't wait to read Northcast as a metalhead. It scratches an itch I didn't know I had. Okay. I'm gonna check that out. I'm assuming you tag me on, well, it could be either way. It can be on Instagram. It also could be on X or whatever they call the website these days.
Twix.
Yeah. We have Mr. Reese with a Tuesday. Avery found all the NDAs. Yeah.
That's what got him all that money to buy that land.
Yep. That's what he discovered. Volatil's Hero with a 2 says, hoping to cover the Avery and Harriet talk scene. Okay. Yeah, we chatted
funny.
about that a little bit because that's a pretty big scene, obviously. In that, you learn a little bit more about the powers, or at least the assumption of how they work. Gary with the 5 says, I hope Isom 2 remaster makes it in the omnibus. Yeah, like I said, we'll see. It may not. 1 and 3 never was remastered. It was done, but number 1 for sure will be there. Any other change remasters planned for the omnibus? I mean, you'll see some things like cleaned up. Like there'll be some things that maybe like got missed. I mean, we're putting out these big page counts, so there may be a bubble that could have been placed better or something like that will adjust like that, but not to the extent of what you saw with Isom. The reason why Isom was recolored was because of we got a new colors and we wanted some cohesion there. That's the whole reason why we did that, and it also gave Cliff an opportunity to make some adjustments there as well. So that was why that was uniquely kind of happened. Could the omnibus become a yearly thing? I don't know. A yearly thing. I mean, it's the first 3 years, but there will be more collections. I mean, people are asking about the ill-advised arc. Yes, all of that stuff. We're working on. Mr. Reese with a 5 said, did anyone noticed that one of Fontano's men looked like Eric? Shout out to Cliff for that. Cliff did that purposely. I didn't even notice it until well after the fact, where he sent me that with a smiley face, and I was like, yeah, that's fucking me. So yeah, he put me as one of a guy with my likeness as one of Fontano's henchmen, which was really funny.
Talk about a self-insert, huh?
Yeah. That was pretty fun. Like I said, I didn't even realize that until after the fact. That was all Cliff's doing. Shout out Cliff. Says for me, Isom number 3 is your best Isom book. My favorite story from you, Eric, is The Salvage. Can't wait for the full graphic. Now it's funny. I was just emailing back and forth Bart about some stuff. So I know a lot of people are waiting for that. That'll be coming soon. Trust me. And I believe that is the last one. It is the last one. All right, we're at 2.5 hours. I think that's plenty of time for us to wrap this up. Thank you all for tuning in for the roundtable this week as we talk Isom 3 spoilers. Thanks for everybody that bought Isom. I'm glad you enjoyed the story from it, and I'm glad we got to look at some of the artwork from it as well. It took me a little bit to get everything set up, but I was able to get it set up. So thank you all so much for bearing with us. Obviously, thank our man Andrew, creative manager here, as well as Marcos, who is the concept artist here at the Rippaverse, and he is the co-creator of many of your faves here at the Rippaverse. I appreciate both of y'all, brothers. Thank you so much for hanging out with me tonight, and thanks to all of you for hanging out as well. We will be streaming some. Well, what's the next stuff that you got, Andrew? I know y'all got. We got Control Z. We got some stuff I know with Chad.
There will be a new episode of Control Z coming up here soon. We're gonna have a stream with the creator of Death Shroud. That's actually going to be on the 25th. So that's this week.
Nice, this week.
At 2 p.m. Central. So if you're in the time zone that matters, that's the one. So yeah, we got a lot of stuff coming up the pipeline. It's already here, not this coming weekend, but the following one, Bell County.
Oh, Bell County, yeah, dude. Got Bell County on the way. Wow. Lots of stuff happening, lots of stuff cooking there. So wow, Bell County snuck up on us. Yeah, that happened quick. So yeah, we'll be there at Bell County Comic Con. That's the 2nd and 3rd, right, of August, I believe.
Second,
yeah,
third.
2nd, 3rd of August we'll be there. So come holler at us out there. We love to chat with you all. Again, we got Control Z. We have also this week is the last week. The collection will officially close on Sunday. We're gonna let Flash do his Flash cast and everything there. But the Mighty Golden Patriot by Yellow Flash and John Diller, we hope to have a strong close here. So be sure to grab that while you can, because it is the final week to get that to pre-order that book. I anticipate some things will sell out. So go grab it right now. Thank you all so much. I'll be popping up on some streams on my channel here and there. We got, again, Control Z. We got Death Shroud creator Chad Larson. Lots of stuff happening right now with the Rippaverse. So we thank you all so much for being customers. Go grab everything that we have active. We got Gary's book with They're Waiting for the Erotic. We got Norfolka. You got the Omnibus. You got, like I said, Death Shroud, Mighty Golden Patriot. All sorts of stuff happening. Go grab everything from Rippaverse as well as Rippersend. Thank you all again so much for all of the love that you all have shown. We have 5 our omnibus stories in order of publication or grouped together. Isom 1, Yaira 1. Well, Andrew, you want to speak to that? Because I know you were helping, you and Carol kind of decided the order.
Yeah, Carol and I actually sorted out the order on that. I will give away the whole order of everything, but I will say that arcs are able to be read sequentially. So you will be able to read the ill-advised arc in the best possible way, which is 1 through 3, straight as one hit. Same thing with Yaira 1 through 3. And Horseman Welcome to Florist Park and Horseman 1 will also be able to be read sequentially.
There you go. There you go. Appreciate that, Philip Johnson. And yes, this is a great pickup for you guys that just, oh man, I got to the Rippaverse late. Just give me everything. All right, cool. It's all in one book.
Bet.
It's all there. Everything for the first 3 years. So go grab that years 1 through 3 omnibus. And again, thank you all so much. We got to get out of here. I'm going to get to work, some more work. And appreciate y'all too hanging out with me as well. Shout out to the Sox because they were here earlier as well. Much love to you. We'll leave the stream up, but we'll see you later this week. Again, we've got the Control Z coming soon, as well as the Chad Larson says 2 p.m. right? 2 p.m. on Thursday.
2 p.m. on the 25th. Yep.
2 p.m. You're gonna have Chad Larson here on the channel talking everything Death Shroud. So go check that out. All right, guys. We appreciate you so much. We will see you next time. And again, go grab all those books from rippersend.com as well as Rippaverse. Peace out.